watched all of
Step
them one
11.
time on a marathon.
Hashtag step 11, which is what is it? Working on your conscious contact with the higher power.
I'm not
Aliens or
liking
God? Find out. Done redirecting you to YouTube. The picture of my son holding a globe.
all of
Step
them one
11.
time
Oh,
on a
oh,
marathon.
feedback.
You
Sometimes,
gotta mute.
sometimes it's not. I know. That's a rookie mistake there.
Do any of y'all know how to turn off this app? It's driving me nuts.
Turn off what app?
This name and overlay.
I'm
I
just gonna
don't know.
switch to immersive. I'm switching to immersive.
I actually
Oh,
was
thank
wondering how
God.
you did that.
Switching
Raleigh.
to immersive view.
Oh yeah, you just do overlays and name tags, but you only get like, hang on, let me check. You only get 15 free per month.
Oh, 15
But
free.
you
Yeah.
only do your show once a week, so that's enough for you.
Yeah, you know what? While we're doing this,
And it doesn't work with immersive view.
So Mike, Raleigh taught me YouTube manners, which is you never talk about your own. I guess it's like a proctologist. He can inspect other people's behinds, but you never inspect your own behind, right? Like
Well,
not
like,
case study, not like in
yeah,
front of
like,
people.
yeah, like you just say at the beginning, please subscribe if you like this. Please like the channel.
The
And then
first rule of Fight Club is
don't,
do
yeah,
not
you
talk
don't have
about
whole
Fight
segments
Club.
on it.
Gee, I don't
all
think
right,
I
here
took
we
the
go.
whole segment. I think I took like one, like 1 minute.
Get into the big time here.
Oh,
No,
Mike.
you didn't, but you
Oh,
wanted
why
me
is
to
my
go on
sound all fucked up?
about YouTube analytics, and I don't think
Oh,
anybody wanted to
No,
hear
I
that.
didn't mean Anna. I think maybe you misunderstood me. I just thought the general, like I thought people would. I don't know. I guess whatever. That's fine. We're the technical back end. I totally get the YouTube manners, so I'll leave it there. I think okay. Once we get a group, what would be in 12-step lingo a group conscience? Like I think eventually monthly or quarterly. Let's imagine our core group, right? Like we have a private show, and then people can talk about how they feel, what's good about the show, what they want to improve, and that's where you could review how the algorithm works. Because I think everyone ultimately wants to be heard. If they want to be heard, then we've got to work with the algorithm, not against it. Which is again why I can't talk about.
That's true. I wonder how many of them want to be heard.
Mike, he got kicked out. Let me bring him back in.
He's actually up there. I see him up at the top.
Yeah, he's up, but that means he's not on YouTube, right?
That is what that means. But if he talks, we can hear him.
Yeah, he's the Lord above, the voice of heaven. That's what Stephanie has been. Which I don't know what happened with her phone issues, but she didn't mind being called Stephanie, so that's good. I'll tell Mike in the chat.
is that like one of the ones that comes in through the morning?
Yeah. Because there was an issue.
Oh, I see what you just put in the thing.
Yeah.
I won't verbalize it up.
Right. And again,
More YouTube manners.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. I just I've done that I've done that podcast for 4 years now or whatever. We're in our fourth year, and it actually happened. Funny backstory. I'd always wanted to do something like that, and friends that I've tried to do this with over the years, they were busy or they're this or they're that or whatever, and then finally an old work friend that I've known forever. When he knew young Mike and I knew him, he was young Tom, and we stuck together. And then also at the same time, I was going through, like, that was when my
You guys did what? You guys, what was that together?
what's that?
He was young Tom, and Mike was young Mike.
Yeah, we knew each other from back in the day is what I was artful way of saying it. And then anyway, we got together and we started doing it. But the time when I did that, that was around the time I also had stepped away from my last major relationship of like almost 5 years. And it was more or less something else to do, to fill the time and to look forward to. And pretty much every week, I mean, we've taken breaks and stuff, but like it's lasted. It's fun. It's like I said, it's our generation's pastime, right? Going live on YouTube or talking about whatever.
No, you finally did. Actually, I wanted to put it up because this is kind of cool. I was Wetworks. What was I was in the comic when I got into comics. It was like what was that Marvel Spawn.
Okay. Yeah. What's the guy's name?
Todd McFarlane.
McFarlane. Yeah. He's great.
And then there was oh man.
Buck. Mm.
And I have a question about it, Michael. So I've been kind of busy lately, and so I haven't seen an episode since like December. Y'all discuss like comic book stuff, right? Or
We just more often than not, what we'll do is we'll pick some form of media that we will watch or read together separately, and then we'll talk about it. And like longer form, it's more of like not so much a review show or whatever. It's more like a recommendation kind of thing that we just go into. And over the years, like we've expanded it from just like superhero bullshit or comic books or whatever, sci-fi, nerd, whatever, to include noirs that I like. I like noirs. That's like one of my favorite genres of all time. And then
I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I like them too. Like
yeah. And then
like Chinatown and stuff like that.
Yep. And Tom is a horror fucking guru. Like he loves horror films, and I really wasn't a big horror fan before the thing, but I was like, oh, we'll give it a try, because I just kind of thought that all horror, like, not that I hate horror films or anything, but I just always thought it was like Friday the 13th growing up. It's like
slasher films. That's what I always imagined. Slasher films.
Yeah. But it's so much broader than that. And he opened my eyes to that. And pretty much I've been able to see amazing thing. And then sometimes we'll cover YouTube drama, sometimes like DSP or, some LOL cows, we used to, when we did a show, we did 2 shows at one point where we did kind of covered current events kind of thing in the nerd sphere. And then we did our main show, like where we did our review a movie or something like that or whatever. But for the most part, we've improved quite a bit over the years. But it is also a good thing to do, because when you know how to talk about a topic or cover it, you get better on camera. And that was kind of the genesis of it too, was the natural benefit of like doing this makes you a better communicator, or can anyway.
If you let it, yeah.
Nice.
Because
it
helps you shorten what you're saying, be more direct on the point. Even though I've noticed some people on the YouTube broadcast, it hasn't really helped them articulate themselves that well. I just don't think they're trying, or they're taking it seriously. I don't want to mention names, but there's just some people like, it's like, you can articulate that point better for media consumption.
Yeah, sometimes I'll run out of gas. Like if I don't really have a main point, I'll just be like,
That's why it's great having like 8 like Friday Night Tights has like 8 people.
Yep.
Because you don't ever have a chance to run out of gas in like a 3-hour period.
Yep.
Like you say something, then somebody else says something. Like this is something I experienced with our morning show. Like occasionally I'll notice it's sort of running out of gas, but then somebody's got like one last point, and then we go on for like another hour. And it's like, wow, I thought we were just about to wrap things up there for like 2 minutes.
Chris was running the table today. One of the parts that I was active in for a while.
Oh yeah. He brings a lot of mileage into it.
I like Chris. I don't agree with anything that he says, but I like him. And like you can tell he's from, like he told Raul and I one time that he doesn't the only time he'll believe medical theories is if it's from like the Mayo Clinic or something like that.
Established, right?
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't say it, but I was just thinking I'm the total opposite. Like if those people are peddling it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense for his age, I mean, if I was his age and I had that, I'm damn sure wouldn't be getting my news from whatever, from my health or whatever, but
Yeah, let me see if I can, if I got to practice my sharing, right? How
Well,
to,
I have some questions, Mike, because I've heard everything about Raul's um health so far. Do you have any
thanks, Raleigh. He's
chronic
like, yeah,
illnesses?
well, I've heard everything Rahul has to say. So
You're crushing his fucking soul.
I'm sorry,
Nice,
Raul. Do
Raleigh.
you have any chronic illnesses?
Do I? No. No.
Okay. Do you, Raul?
dang, Raleigh, you just go straight in there, right? Straight for the jugular.
Do
No
you have any?
foreplay, just shove it in, huh?
So I told you I used to suffer from migraines, knock on wood, that's like distant past, but I still, when we have long days now with the new activities, right? And like things pile on, then I don't get migraines, but I can feel it in the horizon. And so I'll do like a hot soak and then I'll let it. I essentially have to do a forced drain on myself, right? Rather than do nothing and then inevitably that migraine is going to hit and then you're just in a whole nother state and maybe you grab the Tylenol and you get lucky. But now I'm much more preventative. Aside from that, I would say okay, no, there's two lingering things. Okay. One is maybe less minor, but I'll like now and then like maybe I guess heartburn, but very like just okay. But that's still concerned. I just don't want to have any feeling, because every now and then it could be worse or something. And then the other thing is like sore muscle have you seen my props where I have the rollers, right? I got to get it now that you asked me, Raleigh. And then you can say something while I'm grabbing the ball.
Yeah, I don't have any chronic illnesses either. But like I don't know if y'all noticed, but sometimes when you're in the morning chats, I'm walking. So I like today I got, hang on, I'll tell you exactly. So today I'm at 15,797 steps and I walked 6.61 miles. I've climbed 6 flights of stairs. So I make sure to stay active. Yeah.
But the hives, what about the hives? You didn't even mention that you buried the lead.
Oh, yeah.
Rock on.
I get chronic hives. I like if I don't take Allegra, I will have like what do you call those welts on your skin where that I have hives.
Carnivore and fermented heals all. But to be honest, though, I have to use these every night. Like I guess that restless leg syndrome, I used to make fun of it, but now the foam roller does crap, and I'll try to share the guy's YouTube hopefully if I
Did you
remember.
see that medication that they just found out like it was some kind of restless leg medication? Did y'all read about that? And like it turned out like it caused I forgot what it all said.
Oh yeah, what's it? The side effects are worse than the cure, right?
Yeah.
The old
Yeah.
Cat Williams joke. But believe it or not, this freaking chopstick, because the whole thing is the fascia. There's 3 layers of fascia, and so it's like you can't see how deep that goes in. You can't get that with a finger like a tennis ball. So but now, of course, if you go in too deep, you know what I mean? Like you can have a little blood thing. I'm not saying to go that. You know what I mean? It's pain. Like pain is a reference point. You want to feel better, not worse. But this one I got off AliEx. Some doctor here selling it like $40. I'm that guy that just goes to Jack Ma. I said, come on, just give it to me cheap, Jack Ma.
Have you ever tried acupuncture?
Kaiser offers it now, and I might consider it. Actually, for my mom, we probably should give it a go. The other thing I want to try for her is chiropractors do it, like a nasal fascia release. Believe it or not, they blow a balloon through your nasal cavity, and this part here gets stiff, especially after accidents, like the connective tissue underneath there, the fascia. And so that balloon inflates and then if you've seen on YouTube, fascia release, it's actually one of those sub things. You were talking about those people that pretend fight each other. Fascia release is on YouTube. There's a whole chiropractor subculture on YouTube about people, those adjustments, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen those. Yo, you asked if I had any illnesses. I'm fat. Like
Yeah, but as long as
let's
it's
put it this
not
way,
making
like I'm to the point now, like where I am, I do consider myself fat, and I need to roll it back to, I need to roll it back to maybe chubby, and then roll it back to healthy weight. But I've been sick. I was sick in February. Like we had for about 6 weeks, it seemed like we would trade back and forth between my kids, their mom, back to here, back there, and then we just kind of
They get
conveyor
every.
belt of sickness. And then I fucked up my ankle.
Oh, that's
Oh,
not.
that can do.
And and then I was like, and then my neck hurt, but it was just like all these other fucking, like my body was just like, You're not doing shit, dude." And then finally, I got the thing, and I'm fine now. And now I can go to my classes, or I can start getting back to like where I don't have to like walk down the hallway and I'm sweating.
Huffing, huffing,
Yeah,
huffing down the hallway.
I'm not quite that bad, but you get the, you get
No,
the.
no, no, no. But it's okay. One of my Mike, one of my recovery, I guess, moments was in Texas, and it's like you get out of sync, and what happened was I thought I was on the up and up, and this is how egotistical I am, right? I mean, intellectually egotistical. I had my kids, my son was much younger then, so they would play with the sidewalk chalk. So I get some great idea. Maybe it's a Bible verse or something. And so I squat and I start writing out my great meme, right? The meme of all memes. And then I jump up and I'm like, oh, I tear my hamstring or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I can't believe this.
That's not
Because
good.
I was so excited. And it's like when you get out of sync. And so um I'm plugging this guy, Dr. Sean O'Mara, because he had Hashimoto's. So he does a monthly Zoom call free. That's why I'm plugging him hard. Okay. Because I've had people reach out to me about like, oh, who do you go to? He was interviewed by, this is a YouTube story, perfect YouTube story, Ferrigno Freedom. Okay, we'll try to bring him up later. And Ferrigno Freedom is one of these carnivore guys that he was like midlife crisis nurse and just not doing good. And then he's like, I want to try something different. He goes carnivore, but then he interviews Dr. Sean O'Mara about adding fermenteds to the diet because meat is essentially dead and the fermenteds give you the probiotics. And Ferrigno Freedom kept talking about, oh, sprinting. And I'm like, oh, whatever, I can bike ride. But they made a believer out of me because I was actually going on way too long bike rides. You're getting addicted to the journey part of it, and then you're coming back burned out. And it's like, whoa, this is becoming that whole, you think you're making forward progress, and now you're just boom, laid up. So let me show you Freak Freedom. That would be cool.
Right on. Yeah, I just need to get I once I get back on track, I'm fine. And of course, the more you exercise, the more energy you have. That's just the way the body
That's
works.
why I've been doing it. I know it's like the direct weight loss from the exercise. Like I've only lost 636 calories, but it's just the metabolism boost is what I like about it. It just boosts my metabolism so much.
Yeah, I have I take a bunch of supplements in the morning. I have my thing, and the I take them on purpose so that it's like if you take the right combination of things, supplements for your body, it kind of it puts it into the state of like when you do use the energy, you get the extra boost from it, so to speak, lack of a better term or whatever. But and if I don't take them and I don't do my routine, I wake up and I feel like shit. Although occasionally I will kind of like stop everything and then I'll just kind of like just let the body be, its own because you can only push so many processed supplements into your system before, most of the time I've talked to people, some believe in supplements, some don't. Some just think you just take them and you just shit them out. Whatever, but it worked for me. I mean,
It depends. Like sometimes I take supplements and I have a different, I feel better or feel worse and sometimes I take supplements and it's like, oh, this doesn't make any difference.
yeah, I've had that. Like one that I do know makes a difference for me. Just two. If I had to cut them down to two, like one is krill oil. That makes I feel better when I take that. And then especially not so much in the spring or the summer, but in the fall and in the dark, deep dark of winter, It'll the light, whatever. I'll take vitamin D, just to make sure in case I don't, get outside enough or whatever. But that makes a difference to me. Like it just makes enough. It's not like radical or anything. It just a little bit more. I just have a little bit more of a pot. Could be placebo. I don't know, but it works for me. So can't
No,
complain.
no, no. I think there's science, enough science behind it. And of course, the sun is not going to pay anyone to do a randomized double-blind controlled study, that sunlight is good for you. But that
Actually,
was
they have done studies on that, and it is good for you.
no, I know, but I'm saying the whole
Right.
randomized double-blind, you would have to do like fake sunlight. These people, they get whatever. I'm making a bad joke, dad joke. Sorry.
Oh,
Oh, all good.
it's good for depression. It's good for it activates vitamin D, which is good for bone marrow. It's yeah, there's like a lot of benefits to getting adequate sun. I was talking to a guy the other day, and we're both preppers. Well, I'm not a practicing prepper because I can't afford to be, but if I could, I probably would be. Um, but we both are interested in prepping, I guess is the best way to say it. He was telling me I should read that book 1 second after. So I got it. I mean, I tend to read it the next time my brother and I go to Colorado. But uh we were talking about it, and I was like, if you could move to Cedar Rapids and you're right there in the Black Hills Forest, what is that?
Oh, come. Is it not going to do the fucking?
Oh, what are those Star Wars?
I don't. Could you turn off the
Star Trek.
immersive view for a second? I can't. I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, my bad, my bad.
I'll get 2 books for you, and then I'll give you the link for they're on that topic you were talking about prepping or whatever.
I got Flywheel here. Bear with me.
Yeah, it's just catching up with you.
Polly Pocket too is like, get a new computer, Ardizzle.
There it is. All right.
Yeah,
It's where there is no doctor, a village healthcare handbook.
oh, that looks good.
And it's basically it's not everything, but if you are in a situation where there's no doctor or whatever, it has
be highly convenient, and you're
it
not
tells you what to
Yeah.
do. I mean, or it gives you a good guideline of what to do, of like what, I don't know, what you know, and then the other one I have is no grid survival projects. Basically you follow this. This is just kind of like your supercharged, how to do a garden, how to do this, how to do that kind of thing for it.
I need to get
More
both
detailed
of those.
information.
Oh, you just turned me on to something.
Anyway, I don't know, I can't remember what, but it's just it's kind of just common sense things like that are good to do, whether you're prepping actual or not, whatever.
Just to have it in the back of your mind when the time comes, if nothing else. But
Books don't need batteries and they don't need internet.
but he was taught he's a colleague, and like he was talking about I was talking about moving to Cedar Rapids because they've got plenty of fresh water. You're in the mountains, and it's still cheap, unlike Idaho, Montana, the mountainous parts of Wyoming, and Colorado, which are now all expensive. Like, I mean, you're talking millions of dollars now, but Cedar Rapids, you can find a home there for like 150K or something. And when I was explaining that to him, he goes, "Well, Alaska." And I pointed out to him that just getting anything to your place in Alaska as you prep, you build your supply base. That's going to be expensive because they have to ship everything to Alaska. But my real complaint with Alaska, which I did not mention, was that 6 months out of the year, it's dark all day.
Mhm.
Or almost all day. I mean, you get, I think like in acreage, there's a point where it's only like an hour of daylight. It's like, no, I can't do that.
Right
We
on.
were talking about the sun. So when when I started that was the tangent.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, totally
I
interrupted
don't know. I
your
like
prepper.
I'm gonna look at those books. So I'm gonna watch this video so that I can remember the names of them.
Yeah, I'll send the links here when my brain is comes back to center because like I've had a long day. And then I had to do my expense report and they kept kicking the fucking thing back. And it's like, I why? Why are you kicking this fucking thing back? Just fucking accept it.
What's it, in the office or whatever when Michael won't sign the expense reports?
Right, yeah.
Dude, that's all yeah, God.
And I was already in trouble because I didn't submit it when I was supposed to from last month, but whatever. It's like I'm traveling this month and I'm
No, it's
traveling
just passive
in
aggression.
May.
They're just getting you back for being late last month.
Let me before I forget, let me tell you guys the update that in the Signal chat. That's right, YouTube audience. We have a super secret Signal chat.
We do.
Okay. All right. Now that would be total violation. Don't talk about the tool. Anyways. So
Well,
yesterday,
the thing is that the thing is we just bombed Yemen. We just flew in F-16s in there.
we
Yeah,
didn't bomb Yemen. Look, first of all, this story, it's like Mark goes so, it's always at the very surface. Correct me if I'm wrong here, okay? And one of those people I've shared with you guys, she may not be in Yemen, but she's Yemeni, okay? So I'm sure she has an opinion on things. But my understanding is there's ships going through the area. You got a ragtag bunch of people basically just launching rockets at them, and that's who's being taken out. They're saying,
Oh, the Houthis. Okay, right.
yeah, you got to remember your terror groups, Michael.
Yeah, I was. Oh, is that what they talked about in the morning meeting this morning?
No, they talked about.
Raleigh
They're
decided
just
to
talking
get
about
political on me.
trade
He wanted to hear a
constantly.
touching story about my son, and then he dropped the bombs.
Yeah, what's going on with your son?
So okay, it's all good stuff, but basically he's going to UT Austin, right? Oh, Raleigh. I didn't know if I gave you the update on that. So he
got
called.
accepted?
Yeah.
Good rule. I hated it, but I hope he has a good time.
Thank you. Michael's like, enough of it. No, I'm sure he's got something. So, anyways, he called. I was doing the show with Jackie, and before all of this, you understand, it was like if my son calls, I'm jumping through hoops, like to be at attention, like it was even though he's not necessarily expecting it, but it's just that like you want to be there. But now I have a legitimate, I felt excuse, to say, hey, I'll call you back, right? And so, okay, I called him back after the show was done. And then I handled whatever issue with his college, some payment thing, right? And I was joking around. I wasn't stressed because I feel like, not to get emo about it, but like, we got the group, we got a community, we got a bunch of friends now. It's like I have something going on where before I was total Costanza, right? And so then when my son calls me, he was, I think, feeling that pressure that like I'm overly, for that moment I'm talking to him, it's like kind of this over, like in the back of my head, I was not relaxed,
Right.
I was like resentful. And for the first time in a long time, and usually when he visits, there's always that transition point, not a transition point, but whatever, I mean, being a parent's tough, right? But so,
See,
yeah.
You're where I will be in a few years. Mine aren't quite there. My are just getting into high school, and then the boy will be he'll be a he'll be along. I don't want to say where they're at, but they're
Yeah,
not
totally.
quite out of the house yet. But it's like, but at the same time, when he gets his license in a little bit, he will become the taxi. So he will facilitate the transportation between his mother's house and my house. And I will be put out of a job. I've been there every maybe 3 times that I didn't go pick up my kids when I was on my time ready to go. But because I was so paranoid during the court and proceedings that I felt like if I was even late 1 minute, it will be held against me. You have that yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a total pressure
I-
situation.
So I have a question about this because I haven't been married. I don't have children, but I aspire to it one day. I just keep saying that over and over and over again, and it
You
never
don't have
happens.
children that you're aware of.
That's
On
right,
this
that's
continent.
right. That's right. I don't have children on this continent. There you go, Michael. But like my question is, would you say that you and the ex, Michael, would you say that y'all do above average squabbling, or average squabbling, or below average?
It's a more complicated story than we'll get into publicly,
Yeah,
privately.
no,
That'll
yeah,
be a
yeah,
different
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But I will say this. I stay away
I
from any
asked it that
conflict.
way, by the way.
Yeah, I stay away from any conflict. And let's just put it this way. The state where we're at right now is there is no communication. Like I deny any communication. And that's as that is a result of it. But at one point we were, I wouldn't say we were best friends, but we're talking about somebody that we legit had bad blood between us, horrible contested, you know, divorce at Evis, not fun. And
What about via email?
what's that?
Do you communicate in writing at all, like email?
Oh, yeah. So there's this thing called Our Family Wizard
Oh,
that
you
is like
told
a
me about that.
fallback,
You told me
right?
about that. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but before then, we were mandated by the thing because we just couldn't communicate. But either one of us could, so we would use that court third party system. There's a couple other
I
ones,
was just
whatever.
about to tell you, I know a guy here in Austin that founded an app that does just that.
Yep.
That he's like a multimillionaire.
But
He lives out in Westlake, and he
yeah,
has an app that it's for divorced couples with children to communicate, so that it's
yeah.
always on a court record.
Always. But anyway, we were like a year ago. We were to the point to like where I'm a very trusting person. I'm very simple with it. I give more chances than I need to sometimes. And even if I'm pissed off at you, I will at some point re-examine that, and then because I don't want to be stuck in I don't want to be stuck in that prison that you put yourself in, like where you're
Michael,
just
yeah, yeah. Ooh.
what anyway, it doesn't matter. But we were so well, like in that at that time it was just normal communication, text, call, whatever. And then somebody betrayed that. Anyway, going back to the zenith of our trust, of my trust with her. I could not get my dog sitter backed out on me, and I had to go. It was a school trip with my son and me. We went to Boston last year in May. Awesome fucking trip. But I could not. And my sister couldn't do it. My brother-in-law couldn't do it. So I was kind of shit out of luck. So I had talked to her and my daughter, and the credit to their mother, facilitated every like twice, 2 or 3 times a day she would bring the daughter over, and then they would take care of the dog and the cat. Cat really didn't need anything taken care of because they automatic feeder, kind of thing. But and I had my cameras up, to not I don't want to make it like I'm just some all trusting whatever. I mean, I had I have some cameras up or whatever, and they're very obvious, right? Um, and nothing was touched or whatever. Of course, nothing is going to get touched or whatever. So, well, that was the height of it, and then some things happened, and I had to roll all of that up, all that back, and go back to the Stone Ages. And I don't need to talk to you. I don't need to. There is not, and we're so close to the end of the kids being kids. Even if we don't communicate for the next 3 years, it doesn't fucking matter. You know, uh, the caveat would be for emergencies, obviously, but for day-to-day facilitation of this or that, this shit's on rails. They
Yeah,
spent
that's what you
6 days
learn.
over
That's what
here.
you learn. It's all becomes this routine.
Well, I don't need to. We don't need to communicate.
Exactly.
And in the court, you're not supposed to use the kids as messengers, and that's not what happens. It's just that our lives are on such rails. The kids go through school Monday through Friday, whatever. The ball changes over on downs, every 7 days. Blah blah blah
Exactly.
blah. There is just no need
Exactly.
outside of like maybe vacation or something broader, but I step back from that, and because I
Yeah,
don't need
on our
to.
so in I went through divorce therapy and the group, it was On Our Own Again. That's the book we read from. And it it must be just common wisdom because some of the things you were talking about how you create like two household structures, how you negotiate or how you communicate back and forth, and this idea of there's there's a what's it called, intimate space, right? There's that ability to just pick up the phone and call. Then there's tech, and when that inner part becomes toxic, you retreat.
Mhm.
Retreat. And
You
I
have
find
to.
I had to
You have to
retreat
set
back to
boundaries
email.
and lines,
Yeah.
and they
Oh,
have to mean something.
and the email, I finally started kind of understanding about, oh, okay, I'm whatever. We're getting way into the,
Well, we're perilously close to very personal details,
yeah, all that
which we
stuff.
all respect here. But yeah,
That was story one. Story two, which is a big victory for everyone, right? My mom suffered diverticulitis, and I've shared this before. Oh, Raleigh, are you gonna walk Polly Pocket?
No, I'm just making iced tea.
Oh, okay.
I've already walked her.
Very good, very good.
I have to do it again at like 8, but that's not now.
Recovered Jackie was all down with my idea that if we ever go to like America's Talk Show, like a fundraising round, it would be to get doggy cams. So then everyone that has dogs has a doggy cam, and then we would have the extra guests with
cut to it.
Yeah. So, anyways, the story to share is how I think crazy the healthcare system is. Okay, I have a pain log which I had to make, which I recommend anyone that's in a caregiver state, or even if you're just on your own recovery journey, chart your pain, because it's very easy to get into these cycles where we think every day there's pain. Well, you want to chart it, you want to rate it, and oh, that's the good stuff, Michael. Hey, so
Sorry.
No, it's all good. So March 19th was not mine, my mom's last episode of pain, meaning related to diverticulitis, which is a condition of the colon, right? The large intestine. And so we go in today. It's Dr. Patel, and oh man, I said the name, right? Whatever. Like Recovered Jackie said, well, this is never going to become popular.
Dr. Jackson. You meant
Dr.
Dr. Jackson.
Yeah, that's right, Dr. Jackson.
Dr. Bo Jackson from Kansas City, from the Kansas City Royals Hospital.
That's right. This is a multiverse. We're not even talking about this universe here. So, I mean, essentially what was being bandied about was, well, in another 4 to 6 weeks, we'll get another CT scan and then a colonoscopy, and then we'll see if we want to do surgery. And I'm listening and I'm trying to be like, here's my pain chart, no pain, you know what I mean? And finally at the end, because my mom, I kind of prepped her. I said, on the way over, I said, Mommy, like, speak up. And when they're trying to say they want to do something to you, let them know you're not feeling any pain. Like, I'm not coaching her. I'm just like, and she's like, she's like, I don't really want a colonoscopy. Who wants a colonoscopy? Right. And for my mom, she's very logical that way. If she's not feeling pain, if there's no symptom, she's like, why are we bothering? Right. Don't stir a gift horse in the mouth or whatever. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the right slogan.
Right.
So the doctor, and I'll try to end it with this. The doctor said one last thing trying to say to my mom that, well, we think that by getting the CT scan, then we'll know if we should get the colonoscopy to do the surgery. And I said, no, we don't think that, because I see that my mom hasn't had any pain in almost a month. And I think we're on my mom is on the med. And so then the doctor kind of backed off, that she said, okay, all right, okay. Like, it was this weird, like, I'm like, why do you want, this was the last part I forgot to mention, that I said, doctor, understand the paradox. My mom's main thing is the heavy head with the amnesia. Every time you bring her in here for something else, she's complaining about how heavy her head is, how anxious it makes her to go to a place like Kaiser. And then you're doing something completely else on her. So can we just avoid putting her through this mess, And it, like, slowly they were getting it. But I just think it's like they're $250 for a CT scan. Who knows, another 100 for a colonoscopy, and just money.
It was a racket, right?
So, anyways, that was my big thumping on that.
Right on. Yeah.
I just got America's Talk Show. You were going to say something, Michael?
No, I didn't have anything.
I can geek out for a moment unless Raleigh wanted to. Raleigh's already heard it before. Just geeking out. I got America's Talk Show 5. So I just because we realized that whoever's going to be host has to have access to that core channel. And so I just want to get everything in one place. So anyways, that's probably don't even talk about the admin stuff.
No,
Fucking
I'm
nerds.
not. Yeah.
Oh,
No, like when I'm at work, I'm like the youngest person in a little office we work in, and I'm always on my devices. I'm either talking to Roll personally, or I'm on the two-way chat, or I'm on two-way, or I'm doing our podcast, our YouTube show. I'm always doing something. I know people at work are thinking that dumb little kid. He's always on his fucking devices. I know that's what they're all thinking. Like he's just always on one of his electronic devices. That kid.
Hey, they think you're doing, something.
Yeah, I know. They think I have like some huge social life or something.
I did have a question for Michael about if you've ever geeked out with Google Voice.
a long time ago, like I got at one point in time, I looked forward to every feature they added or whatever,
Oh,
or
yeah, we had a little conversation about this and the
Yeah.
vanity numbers.
I hadn't got a vanity. Yeah, what's that? I mean, I know what a vanity number is, but they have those, or they allow, or they? Huh.
Yes, okay. They
No
still
way.
do technically, but before in like version 1, you could search for a word or phrase. So like
Okay.
hello or whatever, elevator, I mean anything, taxi. Now they only let you search by number only. So then you just have to use something else to come up with a number, right? And then you can still, yeah. And so
Interesting.
that's what 86 free left is, right? That's a vanity number. And then with Raleigh, he's already helped me try to get a few more. But anyways, that's a whole nother story. He's like, there's our Dizzle talking about Google Voice again.
Well, like
Okay.
he's always trying to get his handle to be his Google Voice number, and I'm like, I don't know why that's important. I don't know one person on YouTube that does that. And he's always trying to get like a name on X that's not taken. I'm like, X doesn't matter as much as YouTube, like in terms of marketing and stuff. And like YouTube's a way bigger deal. And like it's like important that his X account and his Google Voice and his YouTube handle all match. And I'm like,
Well, Mike got first last nerddom across it, so he knows what's up. Brand uniformity.
No, I get I know where you're going. I get it because when I did the 8-bit thing, I did that last year. And I actually bought the domain. Like I had like because I'll do like the nerd thing, and I'll go scoop up some reasonably cheap or the pennies on the dollar. I mean, it's either that or a cup of coffee, and it's like, oh, I'll get a domain, whatever. And then you're like, oh, I can do something with this or whatever. And that was kind of the thing for that. I've done that a few. I've tried to do many different iterations of ideas of some kind of of me in front of the camera talking about some bullshit, and why somebody would give a shit or whatever, or what the spiel is or whatever the deal. But yeah, I get it, but that's why I kind of like I get the 8-bit on the X, and then I got it on the Substack, and then but on YouTube it's my handle Sofa King Jewish. It's just like not Mike Shaw or whatever. It used to be, but I was like, fuck that. Like, I'll just do Sofa King Jewish or whatever. And then that way it's kind of like if you see the game tag or if you see the channel, and I'm not gonna say that it's a shield, not a very effective shield if I say something provocative and it's public, and then maybe it starts to haunt my real life. Like not really. I've never had that. I don't think I would either because I mean, I really don't have anything all that crazy to say. Nor would anybody give a fuck even if I did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
it was for causing a scene for attention. But either way, Sofa King Jewish, it's like, okay, if you come into that, what
You
okay,
know what
well,
to
what do you
expect.
think I'm going to talk about? maybe things that have nothing to do with anything other than what I want to talk, like, if somebody was going
This
to get
reminds
fired,
me of the Seinfeld, the dentist.
the dentist.
Remember, he's Jewish, and then he's like, Jerry's like, he converted for the jokes.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, right,
What's his
right.
name? Oh my God, dude.
I know what you're talking about, Malcolm in the Middle. That guy,
The Breaking Bad
Yeah,
actor
yeah.
Bryan
God, what is it?
Cranston.
Yeah, thank you, Raleigh. Yeah.
who kissed Elaine's whatever Julia Louis Dreyfus on air, like, and that she did not. I think that was like a Me Too moment. She was like, "Let go of me, you whatever." That's that.
He did. He kissed her.
He held her for a long time. It was some Oscar award thing. And do you think that's the like, I feel like we're on the other side of that now, where it's like the personal space. I mean, I'm only speaking from like I've said, in the union activism world. Okay, you can imagine how solidarity can easily then be morphed and perverted into, like, unwanted touching, and I'll leave it there, right? Oh, was that a feedback?
Fix it.
Sorry, I didn't mute.
Someone
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You were saying.
our no. So I think, remember, we were having that discussion I was at the PMS, right? And Chris is like, "Oh, well, Raleigh, you let that guy know you weren't interested." But it's that's the old thing about, oh, you say no. The new thing, the Zen space, is, why would you even initiate? Like, this is supposed to all be, I guess we could say, semi-professional, right? But like, we're not all of a sudden turning into like, oh man, dude, I hope on the next America's Talk Show I score some digits, dude. We got to get some more girls in here so we can score dates, guys, right? Like, that is what people maybe I've said too much, but I'm just like, keep it professional, right?
Well,
Propriety.
that's the thing about when I've noticed that when guys start coming onto you, like coming onto me, like the first thing they start doing is like it's kind of funny. They start like invading my boundaries and like trying to break down all my boundaries. And I'm like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. No, I'm not comfortable with that. No, I'm not. Um, like he kept wanting us to move in together and be in a 1 bedroom apartment. And I'm like, no,
Whoa.
no.
Whoa.
That's
Um,
fucked up. That's a
yeah,
fucking no.
yeah, yeah, that's what I said. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's
Well,
like,
this
hey, bud, stay right there. I'm gonna launch your ass into the fucking sun. Yeah, I haven't had, I've never had that experiences per se, but I mean, I've had like where somebody was, you can tell they were interested from across the room, but they never came across the room and talked or whatever. Like I've been in a
That's
gay bar
different
too.
though, because that's not a violation, I don't feel like.
No. That's nothing compared to what you have actually. That's my point. Like I just that's about the level. I mean, because it's St. Louis. Like if you wanted a good scene, there's a couple good gay bars that are. Oh, the straights come to these bars and like they're they'll. It kind of had like its own vibe, I guess. I don't know. They had this backyard area, but big, patio area, and people would just and then to have a fire going if it was in the middle of winter or whatever, and just people would, if it wasn't snowing or whatever, and it was people would go outside and just talk about fucking anything and everything for hours. Or you find a chick or whatever, and I'm like, is she gay or is she straight? And then but I've been in situations like that, but that's just normal. You go out to a place just because you go to a gay bar doesn't mean, like, and sometimes that they're the attraction, they're the tourist trap for you to come in or whatever, or it's just a cool fucking bar. That's the other thing too. My brother-in-law is all about if the bartender is cool and the vibe is good, he is but then again, that was when I was younger, a long time ago, and now I just don't go out to bars. I just don't. I mean, if I
He'll
go
go
out, I'm
out.
going to go out to eat, and I'm going to enjoy myself, and I'm going to come home. I don't really
this is
cruise
for
bars
the
for chicks.
like the
I
public.
I still do that. I mean, I don't like cruise bars for chicks, but
Well-
I'll go and sit at the bar and have a drink. And if a girl comes up, I'll talk to her.
Yeah. No, I don't mean anything bad by that. It's just not part of my normal rotation. I just have no interest in doing that. But anyway, Raul, what you were saying? Sorry.
Yeah, I learned it from my Leo Kevin Cavazos, my Cuban buddy, right? About that, the gay world and how men, because his thing that, you know, as a friend of Bill, right? The history, you really, until you've been in enough meetings and you go, whoa, this concept that one person is the dealer, one is the user, and you go off in this curiosity world. Like essentially the homo thing is you're just curious about this guy. And a man and a woman, there's only so much curiosity where it's like, you know, you're not just trying to go off on an escape with a woman, right? The idea is you're going to settle, like it's the opposite. You're going to actually settle down and have kids. Okay. But if you're in an escape mentality and then you add drugs into it, you can only imagine where that world can lead. And then furthermore, when you get into the tranny thing. So just for people to understand out there that like, it's not just a harmless flirting or whatever, like you, and now as guys, we have to understand this is what people say. Oh, well, now you know what that girl feels like, right? You guys are always being, well, okay, well, let's not just do that. Let's not be stalking, right? That's the whole thing. Let's watch Swingers as a movie and enjoy it and laugh at it. But maybe we don't want to be like, you know, oh, the bunny, you got the claws, you know? I mean, which
Right.
of course I love that scene. It's a classic scene.
Well, I think more people. Well, and the fact of the matter is, whether it's a bad female or a bad male, whatever, regardless of sexual orientation, you always have the bad actors or the bad, the bad apples, and that are cruising for another score, essentially, use and abuse types, the like the way I like to put it is the triple F, find them, fuck them, and forget them, that kind of that kind of dude. And there's women out there that are like this too, and there's gay, straight, whatever. But yeah, I mean the gays, I never had a problem with anybody. When my kids were babies, I took them to a friend, a good friend, for a while, well, up until a certain point. Um, and then later I found out a little bit more about that situation, but
stop.
because it visited me, but she was gay, she's lesbian. Now, other people in IT or that were on when we all kind of worked together, that for whatever reason that really bothered some guys, like for whatever they just were they were all bunched up and defensive about it, or just didn't like her, or I don't know what that was about or whatever. I don't think that they hated her because she was gay, or I don't think so. But people are funny. But to me, I don't give a shit. The only thing I care about is, can you do your fucking job, and can you get shit done, and then do you have somewhat of a personality?
And I feel like already that's like too many high stand. Like that's already a lot of bars that people can't meet sometimes.
And it's true. But this is anyway. But she invited me to her wedding, and this is like when you could do it. Like so it was a big,
Right.
actually, it was way before. It doesn't matter when, but I took my kids there. I took my kids to her wedding. So I don't hate. I don't have a problem with, like, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. It's very basic. Just be cool. Just 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 be cool, man. If you're cool with me, I'll be cool with you. It's very simple.
And I think ultimately my Maha message, right? Like the ultimate dating hack is just putting all your eggs in the be healthy basket, is
Yeah.
making those. And I'm thinking this, I guess what it is, man. Does that mean the round table pizza is gonna bite I don't know. Again, it's like I'm crossing my fingers now because I got the lamb steaks are doing good. That is my Achilles heel, round table pizza. I feel like I'm in confession all of a sudden. I'm in the confession booth.
Food is good.
But I did go from 180 to 165 to 150, and I'm plugging the allulose again. Some people were starting to pick up on it. I mentioned it randomly at Kaiser to some ladies too that were talking about some diet, this, that, or the other. Because the Ozempic I don't know why. Luke from China, he mentioned that like it was not suitable for him, and I'm like, dude, with allulose you can microdose. I was doing 1 tablespoon. I went down to 1 teaspoon, and I'll be honest, when I was overdosing, I had some cramps and diarrhea issues. Not fun, and maybe I didn't need to experience that. But now it's not like I'm in some altered state, you know. I'm like generally the fact that this show, again, knock on wood, but like in the past, something like a Monday show, oh my God, we're gonna go live, like that would have been really like, ooh, you know, the thumping,
Tough for
going
you.
the roller coaster. Yeah, and now it's just like,
Right.
well, obviously this is what we would do. Why wouldn't we do this?
Yeah. Well, people, you know, you take anxiety as is it's a natural human thing. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, no, I hear you. I am too. Like I was just you were kind of talking about it, and in my own way, I had that like where you were talking about your son and you know having something to look forward to, and you know that is something for you, something that you can do, that you enjoy, that you can be yourself. You can enjoy the camaraderie of other human beings, even though we're all remote and all crazy different parts of the time and space right now. I was just thinking that like when it was when you popped in with the signal thing and we all kind of were all starting to coordinate on that. So it's like slowly coming together. But anyway, I was thinking like I was jamming out to listen to some tunes and I was thinking, yeah, it's pretty fucking cool that these random guys over here. And then it started getting me thinking about the military and how easy it is for military people to make friends. Especially if you're from that same life, you know, that same world. You all have kind of common ground. And then like if I'm over if anywhere in the world and I see across the way somebody who looks like they were a veteran, sometimes that's a tell, sometimes it's not. Um, you can go, you know, you can instant built-in conversation. Now, maybe that person's an asshole, maybe you're an asshole. I don't know, but for generally speaking, you know, if you're a good human
Yeah,
being,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not that hard to make friends, or it's not that hard to you know make acquaintances, whatever you want to call affiliation. But it's cool anyway. At my point, long-winded point, it's cool that you know, like you get you Raul out in California, you got you down in Texas, you know, you got Chris out wherever, you got even Vincent, you know, and I'll tell you one thing, I love listening to Chris talk and having that Southern or even better James talk, and then having Professor Kenny come on with his fucking brogue.
New York.
With this Brook, like it's just like I fucking love it. It's like it
That guy
reminds
there is
me.
full of shit. Let me tell you, he's full of shit.
It's just cool. It is kind of like talk radio. It is kind of like old school
Yeah,
AM, you know,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I got
That
update.
fucking vibe. I don't know what, but it's some kind of weird current that
Well,
we all have grown up with.
it's the Trump effect that we have like now an anchor to you know speak like because imagine if we were reacting to Kamala as president, we'd want to kill each other. And just today, I saw from who about the Ukraine update on that attempted assassin. Our Duran dude, Alex Christ for you, our boy, dude.
Yeah. What happened?
Alex, yeah. And so he had an update from Cyprus, and that the FBI informant was the one supplying the Ukraine Ruth, the Ryan Ruth. Remember that guy?
Uh-huh.
The golfer.
Oh, I did see those headlines. Yeah. I hadn't seen any of I haven't seen any of Duran's coverage on it yet, but yeah, I will find they talk about all that shit all the time. Like they'll not that they're doing you know that they're anything special, but they'll talk about the news. And he may have his viewpoint, and I don't think it's I just kind of go with just pro-Russian just to kind of prime
Yeah.
people.
That's
So
fine.
like whatever. So then if they have fucking Russia derangement syndrome, then they can just back
Right.
away and
Right.
they can still be safely in their little cocoon.
You've
Their little
inoculated them. That's the term we use in the.
right. So it preps them for that. And it's like and I have this conversation with somebody in my life about why do you listen to those guys when they're so pro-Russian? I'm like, because there is value in everything that they have been talking about
Yeah.
for the last 3 or 4 years, however that I don't even remember. It was the fucking algorithm of YouTube, and I
Yeah.
knew what I was getting into with this. And then there's like a whole other kind of chain. What happens is you find like one kind of part of YouTube, and then what'll happen is it'll expose you to like kind of a little bit more of a chain. of those same people in that similar ish spheres. Like one guy that I really like is Daniel Davis. His shit. He was the guy underneath Colonel McGregor. And I followed
Underneath.
Colonel
Whoa,
McGregor.
whoa, whoa. Link. We need a link on that.
Oh, I'll pull him up here in a minute.
I'm gonna rehost Raleigh. Why did I even step into the ring? Take it back, Raleigh. Do I need to rehost you? Can you? Oh yeah, I think I do, right?
Let me see here.
I can reclaim host.
Daniel Davis deep dive something. Anyway, the what the Duran people or whatever, and then like listen, like at first I like if they start talking about Israel, I kind of tune out. I don't because they have a very different
Yeah, yeah.
different opinion of that sector of the world, and I'm pretty very well versed in that anyway, right? So
Yeah.
I don't need to go like artificially or antagonize myself with this. But again, you don't gotta bite down on everything you hear, you know. Just
Yeah.
because somebody says something doesn't mean that you got to react to nothing. You know what I mean? That's another side of the coin too. So if they do talk about it, but more often than not, just like I found with Sticks and Hammer 666, who's a OG Trump
Yeah.
um sheriff, you know, and whatever or
Yes.
whatever, but he talked, he had his show and he would talk about was talking about fucking COVID in China a month before anybody in the mainstream media even knew what the fuck Wuhan was or any of
Yeah,
this
he had
shit.
the lead on that.
And it was slowly creeping into this shit didn't happen overnight. This shit happens over time, you know. Anyway, so everything that the Duran guys have been talking about, they're not right on everything. They have shitty opinions on America, just like everybody else does or whatever. But that's not the point. The point is that they still talk about stuff that amazingly months later materializes. And it's not because it's just because they recognized that pattern and that was their world or whatever. That was their, you know, I really think they have more of a
Well,
pro
um,
European, like not
yes.
European, but Greek. They both have some lineage with Greek. Although one of them, the barrister guy who was a former barrister, he's in the UK.
Yeah, yeah, the guy with the guy that sounds British is in the
Right, that
UK.
guy. Yeah.
Anyway,
That guy has like a very unique whatever. And then the Christ for You guy, and I have no clue how to fucking pronounce that name. But anyway, the two Alexes, he is just, you know, straight up like it's also kind of cool what he does is that guy is constantly traveling all throughout Europe and he finds like really cool. It's just cool. It's never mind what he's saying. It's just kind of entertaining to kind of see like where he's
yeah,
coming
it's a
from.
different scenery and all that.
Yeah, it's just cool. It's just cool. It's just cool. But I follow
Raw
both of their channels. But
about, I mean, to your point about it's like as long as they're not way off the tank. And yes, there was a point where Duran had to kind of had these Chinese China spots on, so whatever, right? But like what we're trying to say is, and the example I'm giving, Raleigh mentioned Arnab Goswami, which is one of these Indian hosts, right, on these crazy Indian talk shows that I can't tolerate because it's too close to my dad. Raleigh can. And so Raleigh has broken the censorship bubble because essentially to get pro-Trump kind of national perspective, you get that from the Indian news media, you know, to a certain degree. It matters,
right.
of course, all issues are, but like, so Raleigh got some hot takes through this Arnab Goswami, Mike Benz. I've seen him on there. You know, he's that State
I've heard
Department.
of I feel like I've heard of Mike Benz
Oh
before,
yeah,
but
he was on Tucker Carlson. Oh, he's the big State Department whistleblower on all the Facebook censorship, how they're using the regex, regular expressions or
oh
whatever.
right, yeah.
And so just the point being that if people can find, and you know maybe Luke has an insight on that, but if people can find these foreign media that have broken the in other words, George Seldes said it. He's the old school utopian socialist that just said it's always been this way. To learn about a country, you have to get through the foreign press. You have to get around that national whatever weird bubble we're in.
Well, what always comes up with anything related to Russia is there is this natural block in America, and for good reason. They're not you know, it's not like it's for no good reason. You know, there for whatever reason, America and Russia just have this natural animosity, or there are certain groups in America who want there to always be this natural animosity, etc. But I also spin through. I put the link for the Daniel Davis deep dive guy, but I
Oh.
like him because he kind of doesn't really venture over into. I mean, he'll give an opinion, but he'll talk about. He'll give a news report or whatever his subject matter is or whatever. And I like these guys because they'll talk. They have I see him all the time, like the John Mearsheimer or whatever, that guy that like he pops up. Now I do put my foot down. I really like McGregor, and he wasn't always perfect. He has this, okay, guy, you think or believe that's I don't really, I'm not there with you, but whatever. Who cares? We're all humans and we all have whatever. But he would be on Judge Napolitano, and I don't like or hate Napolitano. He's interesting, I guess. He's just not my cup of tea, I guess, for personality or
Yeah.
cadence. But like he has good, if he has a guest on that I care about, or is the semi-regular, I'll listen to it. But where was I going with this? With that but I also listen to other viewpoints like the Center for the CSIS. I can't think of the name, but they're like the think tank for like that. And then I'll listen to War on the Rocks that are a little bit more down the line. But I don't have my point. Had a really good point, but it's just good to listen, to other viewpoints than not, because I want to listen to the same fucking that now, like literally now everybody, I turn on the mainstream media, and within 2 minutes I know exactly what they're gonna fucking say, because I lived through the last 10 years of this bullshit. And I
Right.
know, and never mind me backing Trump or backing Kamala or whoever I wanted to back, or whatever. Never mind that. You could it just they just have this I guess the way to put it is it's like going from reverse. Like, okay, we wear glasses, right? We wear glasses so we can see, but it's
Yes.
almost like the opposite. It's almost like you're putting Vaseline on your lenses, and
Yeah.
then purposely putting them on your face, and
Yep.
then pretending that you can fucking see, and you
Yep.
can't see. You can't see shit.
Yep.
But anyway, getting fired up, but you get the
Yep.
point.
Well, I mean, I'll talk about the elephant in the room, so to speak, with Napolitano. He made salam one time, he was crossing in the bow. Prayer was like a virtue signal. And I mean, okay, God bless Hashim al-Madani, right? Because he's the one that told me there's a parallel so-called Ikhwan Shia, the whole Sunni Shia thing. Okay, how would any of us have any effing clue from like where we are, right? We just go, oh, that's some internal thing they've been squab. But once you see how silly the whole thing is, okay. So first, let's acknowledge, right? Whatever I've talked about, right? The whole NATO side of it with Hillary Clinton, right? Al Qaeda was a good investment, blah blah blah. So apparently there's like a whole Sunni side. But what Hashim al-Madani said is within Iraq, right, and then I guess by nature Iran, there's a whole Shia parallel structure. So it's so bizarre because they will unite, and then at the last second they'll go at each other's throats. And so when they're giving, I would say Napolitano, and like I'll accuse Lionel Nation of this. First of all, I'm not talking about regime change in Iran. No one's talking about that. Okay, what I'm saying is acknowledge the reality. You can't claim. Everyone wants to talk about the Palestinians. No one's talking about Cyprus, right? We know Turkey's over there. Okay, no one talks about the Parsis. First of all, Hashim al-Madani said Iraqis had a very certain perspective on Palestinians because of the whole terrorism thing that was causing problems within Iraq. Okay. Second of all, no one talks about the Parsis, the originally displaced people. Okay. The original, if you want Hindus of Iran or Persia, the original Persians. Okay. The original Zoroastrians. They were kicked out in 1979. So it's like, Napolitano's never done a show on that. Duran's never going to do a show on that. It's for my daughter Somaye, the most heartbreaking documentary you will see on a guy's whose daughter and son got pulled up by the MEK cult, okay, Islamo-fascist cult. And it's a heartbreaking documentary. The son gets out and he had to deal with some perverted things that were done to him. Okay, but the daughter stays. And Howard Dean took money from this cult to speak on their behalf. Rudy Giuliani took money from this cult to speak on their behalf. Almost everyone you can think of in the Uniparty has brushed up. And so that's just one example of how bad things are, and how when you don't have those sort of perspectives, and Chris was saying, oh, Rahul, you're saying the deep state's all in with the Muslim Brotherhood. That doesn't affect me. And then I put up a slide of Islamberg and Dr. Paul Williams, and there was like 8 or 12 incidents with a certain mosque and violence in America. And we know the Fort Hood shooting was that one guy, and everyone's reporting him, and oh, well, whatever, so I'll kind of leave it there. But thanks, Mike. You kind of
Well, Napolitano. The other thing I don't like about Napolitano is that kind of turned me off to him or watching him is he kept seeding Scott Ritter. If you know who Scott Ritter is, you know that he really is a pro-Russian shill if you want to go that far. So that charge is absolutely true. Now do I think that he sincerely believes in what? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, I'm not going to go into it, and you can look it up yourself on the back end or whatever. But he got in trouble because he tried to bring in in a very adult manner children into a certain. Do not fucking thumbs up that is bullshit. Anyway, sorry. Fucking
You don't think so? Okay,
Anyway.
because what he says he was set up, right? That's how.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but anyway, and his shtick is, oh, he's a former Marine and he's a former UN weapons inspector. Okay, fine, buddy. What? Okay, fine. Yeah, that's fine. But there are just certain things in this world that you just don't mess with. And for all I know, maybe he was smeared. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But I'm not going to give him the time of day regardless. So I guess it trick worked, I guess. But at the same time, there's other things like during that I mentioned that Moscow that shooting in Moscow when I was covering it, nobody in the mainstream media was covering it. I couldn't believe it. Like I could not believe that there was not wall-to-wall coverage of something happening and because God knows they did when the Wagner guy fucking went off the rails and was like doing something, rolling his fucking tanks up to the front door there or whatever he was gonna do. He wasn't gonna give Putin a big old hug and a kiss. He was he was gonna give him a couple love taps with a bullet. But anyway, I couldn't. So of course, what I do, France 24. They're all news. They're always available. They're always free. The BBC, RT, because Al Jazeera. And I ended up settling on. So I was just me covering it, having RT play in the background, and then kind of chatting with the people that came in or whatever. Because and then speculating, obviously, like what speculating. And one of the people that was watching the show actually called it. Was like, oh, this has got to be terrorists. This has got to be, that. But anyway, it was just interesting. But you got to see, and then it kind of naturally opens the question. Wait, hold on. Why do I hate all these guys? Why am I supposed to hate all these guys? Like, okay, I get it. Putin is a evil baddie. Okay, I got that. Okay, but so is Erdogan. Okay, and Europe is sitting on that. They sit on him like and every single one of the things that Russia has done, so has Turkey. Just on a smaller scale, I just don't. It's a little bit about whataboutism or whatever, but I don't care. I like you guys have got to be out of your fucking mind that you think that we're allies and we share the same fucking values when you're just okay with that, but you're not okay with the other one. What are you kidding me? Like,
I think what they would say on the left, and I don't agree because of the Kurdish in Syria. But what they would say on the left is that that Turkey has not invaded any other country like Putin.
Oh, they're occupying.
But they have. They invaded Greece.
They invaded Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like they have, but I think on the left they would not. They would not agree with that.
Which goes to my point that Chris he's like, oh, what you're saying, you're full of it, Rahul. No, the Democratic Party doesn't have this. I'm saying so.
And like
because it's
I mean,
I don't believe it's a brotherhood. It's a cult.
no, but like, what I don't understand is like we have these like I'll drive around the rich neighborhoods here in Austin, and I don't know how it is in the places where y'all live, but in the rich neighborhoods, like about every 20th home will have a Ukraine flag. I don't ever see a Kurdistan flag. Or some of these other places where
Well, I see what you're saying. Like, there's all sorts of causes out there, but I guess that's God bless Hashim al-Madani, because he knew an Iraqi Kurd that hated the PKK even more. Because imagine being Latino in this country, and then you meet people across the world and they go, "Oh, you with the Mecha? Azatlan, right?" And a Latino American, I mean, a Mexican American is gonna be like, "Dude, I voted for Trump, like I'm American, right? I don't want America to break up." So I don't know. Eventually, hopefully, we'll have Assyrian people on here and Kurdish people on here, and then they can explain the nuance, right? But
I hope so.
I get very sensitive about, because I see like I don't know. I hope Syria, they don't split it up, right? But they talk about the ethno state, and look, let me just talk about my own people, okay? Because the paradox is Modi, since he's Hindu, he's like against beef, okay? But only 30% of Hindus are vegetarian to begin with. Oh, there you go. There, that's a trigger.
Sorry.
That was good. That was good. That was good practice. And so Modi, it's like, do I condemn him because I believe beef is the superior food and he's going after that? Well, I could say, yeah, that he shouldn't do that. He shouldn't go after, the government shouldn't be going after butchers like that in India. But at the same time, Trump and him clearly see, like, they respect each other as nationalists. Okay. And I mentioned the MEK cult earlier, and one of the guys that escaped wrote a book. Masood wrote a book, something about MEK, and his whole, one of the morals was positive nationalism, right? And so, no, Chris Simmons from Georgia, we respect you very much, but this is not a socialist policy, tariffs, it's just a nationalist policy. And so now Raleigh is here. We have no idea who raises that flag. It almost looks like Raleigh has the crown.
Is that Southeast Asian or something?
Kurdistan, Kurdish.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's
Oh,
Ashur,
dude.
Genesis 10, 21,
Yeah.
22. Okay. And well, I told you about the Shahnameh and the whole thing about the king, and he was bit by the serpent, and the sorcerer says you got to eat kid brains to avoid the serpents. And then the tale goes that 40 kids' brains were substituted with like goat brains or something. And then those 40 kids went off in the jungle and they became the Kurds. I don't know. It's like, what? You hear these crazy legends. Kurd also means yogurt.
Well,
right?
Europe had, for some reason, America is kind of the outlier in some ways, but for some reason, Europe, most of the Middle East, or some are friendly, are they cannot abide any kind of an idea of an independent Kurd, anything Kurdish, whatever. It's really remarkable and really kind of fucked up, yeah, I'm not saying that the U.S. can be there to save everybody or to help everyone, but we seem to have a natural rapport with them for a long time. Even going back so far as to like, okay, I don't know if you remember, this is a long time ago, but there was talk about breaking up Iraq
Yeah.
and no longer being Iraq. We'll have the Kurds because we can trust them and they have their shit together. And they're good partners, and we just have a natural thing. And then the other Sunnis, whatever the other two or three fucking parts were, or whatever. And then it didn't go anywhere. I can't remember. I think it's either McCain or somebody, or no, it was the Mormon. It was Romney. I think it was Romney who might have.
Well, look,
I can't
Pakistan.
remember. That might be wrong, but
There's the in Afghanistan. There's
that
the
was Biden who suggested breaking up Iraq.
maybe you're right. Yeah. You know
Oh,
what? I think you're
Joe
right. I think you're
Biden.
right.
That was
That
his
sounds right.
suggestion.
Sorry, Raul. What were you saying?
That, indicting Gandhi, kind of understanding the root of the problem. And it's whatever, I don't know why, whatever. We're just talking here. So, the British, right? Before the British, it was the Mughals, So you've always had these loose confederations over there, and then they get united. Mughals means Genghis Khan, right? So you have a lineage of Genghis Khan, uniting quote unquote India under Muslim rule. And then they hand it over to the British on a silver platter, right? And then the British East India Company is born, the Bobs or whatever. And then somehow, okay, through the Fabian Socialist Society, is it, well, if we can't have it, no one's going to have it, or we're going to control it through deception, and then, okay, we're going to split the land. And Muslims and Hindus and whoever that have been living alongside each other for whatever in various configurations, we're going to stir the pot. And so it happened, partition happened in the 50s, now you have Pakistan and India. So what does that mean? And then Bangladesh, another partition. So it's like, do we keep partitioning? Do we keep reorganizing? Or at some point, do we start confederating? And, Indians and Pakistanis need to realize, they have some joint strategy, probably against China, joint cooperation or water rights, or I don't know, but there has to be, it's like, it's again, Gandhi. Why did that, because the Hollywood thing is, the Hindus and Muslims couldn't live together. It's like, what? But, but now, now when you do that, right now it's become that, weaponized, if we can't hear the prayer worship, then you're not respecting our government. And there's a whole, so all those things I was saying to Chris about the Dems and this tying is the same thing in India and the Congress Party. When I see this through my dad, like see what he's watching, I go, wow, this is like a mirror of America in many ways. So it's India's a sabbatical on YouTube. I've plugged him before too. So he went over to India. So it's like something to study,
Well, I know years and years ago, I somehow, some way, I found the guy on Twitter back in the day, and he was like from India, and he was like, I can't remember. I think he was Hindu. I don't think he was Muslim, but anyway, I had no idea like how much animosity there were between those two groups in India alone. Like, there's some real like,
yeah.
if you roll in the wrong neighborhood, you're gonna fucking you could you might not be able to roll out of your own. You might not be rolling out alive.
Well, let's Mike, let's make it clear what because my comeback or my notes for Chris are, was the American Revolution worth it? Because if he can so blithely say, oh, well, because of the Second Amendment, we are somehow inferior to the UK, then I want to go to the heart of the matter in India and say people need the right to bear arms. And when you arm the citizenry and you train them, these areas naturally start cleaning up. Because then there's no longer waiting on 911 30 minutes and then some corrupt cop to show up or whatever, right? Like, you don't even have to entertain that scenario, right? When people can defend themselves. So that needs to happen in India, and women need to have that right. Like the whole rape, if you're going to even go there with women and feminism, then it's like, it's the silver, right? Not the silver. What's it called? The lead? What's that? The revolver.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, like that's the thing is like, okay, I get it. Like, you're not into guns or whatever, but there's a lot of people that feel differently, than you do. And point, pun intended, point blank. I mean, America is it's a different, we have a unique blend of rights and structure, and I don't force anybody to whether it's guns or speech or whatever, like, I get it. That's why I served in the military. I served in the military for your right to say whatever the fuck, even if you were wearing a sheet over your head and you had an axe to grind against a certain religious group that I'm a part of, I go nuts, bud. Go nuts. You're not, as long as you're not like, obviously beating down my door or something obvious, I have no control over you. Like you can, there's no the other kind of thing I like to say is everybody has a everybody has a constitutional right to be as stupid as they want to be. That's not original for me. I heard I'm sure it's out there, but it's like if you want to be ignorant, you can't stop somebody from being ignorant. If they want to hate a certain group of people or whatever. But to the 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 thing, yeah, Chris. He's definitely a Democrat. He's like an old school Democrat. Like he's the you know.
But okay, Michael, correct me if my train of thought is off, because I think we got some intellectual points here, right? Is like I'm gonna flip the script on him and say, Chris, you tell me either why the American Revolution was worth it or why you like living in this country and you're not in another country. Like instead of me having to like uphold the Constitution and remind people, because whatever arguments he's come up with and the UK thing, that's so easily debunked.
Right.
Stabbings are such a problem there, right? I don't know
Well,
what.
to be honest with you, sometimes I won't even pursue debate with somebody. Like if it's a foregone conclusion, it's kind of like you kind of come up you get to the starting line. And it's like, okay, you acknowledge that you have a dumb belief because you don't believe in whatever, you don't believe in gun rights, and then but I do, okay, so we just won't have that, unless the topic is specifically on that, and then if it is, then I'll go hot. Like all the reasons, but then he would just go. That's why when that came up, I was like, okay, so hold on, let me just understand. You feel the Second Amendment is talking about malicious. They're not talking. It's not talking about the individual, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, that's all I need to know. Not that I'm writing him off, but
Does that
it's just
imply then? I mean, that's an interesting subtlety there. So would that mean Chris would be okay with like an armed, some sort of certified like citizenry enforcement, or what does a militia mean?
Well, that's what I would. So if you are a Democrat and you are not pro-gun, you would say the Second Amendment has nothing to do with the individual's right to bear arms. It has to do with the militia, the militia, and they love to do this. Well, because it says well regulated, and that means that they can what say this is in and that's out or whatever, they can do that. But that's not what it means.
Oh, no. Okay, Chris. So if we start like the drivers cooperative, if we start a security cooperative,
Our
oh,
Dizzle.
all right. Yeah. That's sorry, a phone. I've got my.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was trying to do a subtle transition there, but touche. Then, if we had a well-regulated security force, then we passed their muster, right?
Well, I mean, he would probably agree with that. But then militia, he would just kind of back off of that and say, "Well, oh, no, not these militias that we have today. We're talking about the National Guard. That's obviously what that's their next leap that they jump to of like, well, and they're comfortable with that because it would mean that somebody else is in control of if you can do this or you can do that. And the Democrats
Exactly.
love control. They love, and the GOP does too in their own fucked up way too. Don't get me wrong. But the Democrats like they are just so I don't understand the mentality of like what do you. The other thing too is like this not to be if you not to be bad about it, but if you actually realized how poor the so-called experts are, like your average beat cop in Anytown, USA or whatever, you might be surprised to know that they're a fucking moron when it comes to marksmanship, to proficiency, to understanding the platform, knowing in and out. If I own a gun or a firearm, I'm gonna know that motherfucker inside and out because if it breaks down, I need to know how to fix it within reason, obviously. If it malfunctions, it's not a fucking toy. It's a very serious matter and a tool. And the other side of that coin is you have to, whatever you take up, okay, you should be not fanatic about it or what. I'm not saying that, but you should be proficient with it. It's just like a computer, a sysadmin, okay? If you have a bunch of servers You got to make sure that thing's fucking updated, da 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 da. You know, all that stuff. It's the same thing as with a gun or with your fucking lawnmower. You know, these things require maintenance and proficiency. Now, obviously, a lawnmower is a little bit different, you know, um, but if you're going to carry a gun, what if? What do you do if it jams or if you pull the trigger and it doesn't do it? What do you do? Or you know, a myriad of other things that or whatever. But so
In
it's not like it's just like so you're okay with a cop or with a local sheriff saying I can or can't have a permit to carry, and meanwhile that motherfucker is sucking down um more sugar than coffee. And he's fat. He ambles his way to his patrol car, and you can see the fucking thing lean when he gets in. Yeah, you're gonna tell me that that motherfucker knows better than me? I don't fucking think so. I don't fucking think so. You know, fuck that. Fuck that pretentious elite. Again, that goes back to the alienation. I'm getting fired up. So, but anyway, that
well,
obviously think I have thoughts and feelings on this topic or whatever. But
this I'm no, I'm so glad that we stirred the pot here because, and this is what I love, Mike, is we're no longer in the one-off. Oh, I tiffed with someone in as much as we love you, Mark Halperin, right? But it was like momentary tiffs. Now we have the recursive algorithm at work, right?
yeah.
Chris is working on us, we're working on him. It's all brotherly love, right? But it goes back to becoming adults, personal responsibility. And the aha moment with Recovered Jackie yesterday was when I told her, because she said, well, I said, why does there have to be pressure? I said, Jackie, this by any means necessary left, I think, is the fraud, right? That whole Curtis Yarwin deep right. He goes, oh, we need a, he goes, well, since violence is bad, then we need a, you know, soft deception, right? The AI, whatever. And why did my phone just kick me off? And so with
I put you in the waiting room.
oh,
It
okay.
was annoying me.
It was the feedback.
No, it was just annoying me that there's like a square up there of you, and then you're
Oh.
down here.
They can't
Of
see it
like,
on YouTube though.
no, it was not annoying to me in a YouTube sense. It was just annoying
All
me.
right, all right, okay. I'll mind my manners. I'll mind my manners. So with Recover Jackie, the breakthrough was, and I said, you know, why does there need to be a by any means necessary mentality? And she said, well, because the right has funding, so the left feels that they need to. I go, that they need to pressure. I go, does pressure exist within Zen? A Zen garden, is there such a thing as she goes, oh no, absolutely not. And I go, well, those are the spaces we need to cultivate, Jackie. And I said, I'm sick. I don't want to hear about Sun Tzu. I don't want to hear about the art of war and cunning and deception. And I mean, fine, whatever, talk about it. But like that isn't helping me because I can easily fall into the cunning and the deceptions and the looking people sideways. That's actually probably my default state. You know, I want the Lao Tzu. I want the feng shui. I want the let me think about how I prevent the fight from even starting, right? That martial arts, that Mr. Miyagi, where like, oh, if you can avoid the thing altogether. And so the Monkey King China India connection, this goes to Mozi. It sounds like the ice cream, right? And this is the most beautiful story, Michael. And then I'm going to end with this, right? The disciples are fighting over their master is at old in age. He's passing away, and they're fighting over who's going to have the honor of burying him and how grand the funeral is going to be and the funeral case. And the master goes, why are you squabbling? And then they explain, and he goes, are you saying that my body is like the worms deserve me more than the wolves, right? Because eventually the worms are going to get to me. You know, if you just toss my body aside, wolves would eat me. Like, what's the difference? And so then he's going back and forth. Like, what have you really learned being my disciples, right? You're still concerned with these superficial things. And then the payoff line was Mozi saying to his, it's Chongzu. I don't know if I'm blanking the name, whatever, Chinese. He says to his students, he goes, what do you think? Would I rather be a sacred bull, okay, where it's all, you know, the sacred bull, they dress him up, they put all these jewels on him, being led to slaughter, sacred cow being led to slaughter, or a wild bull playing in the mud? Right? That's the freedom, right? We want to be that wild bull, you know? And so with that freedom comes responsibility. And if you deny an individual firearms, that ancient firepower technology, then you're denying a whole arc of history and you're putting it in the hands of a few, and then we go back to that debate, who is entitled to this right and who is not. And then, oh, it's only the state. And now we're in that legalism, and then Napoleon and the Jacobins. And so,
No,
Oh, I
I
didn't
just
see your
wanted to
hand
say, I just wanted to say that, yeah, like there's like the gun debate. Like I used to be a liberal not that long ago, and even back then I was for guns but pro regulation. There's all these like the right is pretty much uniformed on this issue. And everybody's kind of in agreement about where we should be with guns on the right. But on the left, when I was over there, not everybody's uniform on it. There's a lot of people, especially from the South, that don't share Chris's opinion. There's a lot of people that vote Democrat, voted for Obama. I don't know about Harris because
Oh, you're saying they believe in the Second Amendment, just to clarify.
well, I mean they own guns
Oh,
and
Well, they did that, or they do the head fake. Kamala tried to do the head fake. She tried to say, "Oh, well, I have one back home from, like I have a Glock in my whatever, blah 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 blah." Like that isn't just because she has one doesn't mean fucking fuck all for that she actually supports my right to own an AR-15 or a Glock or
she
whatever.
supports her right, not
It,
your
it's
right.
it's it's her soft way of doing a head fake and being like that. And to what you were saying, Raul, I think at large was, I like that when you're not trying to like I have a similar saying or what life has fucking beat me over the head in, especially when it comes to conflict, whether it's whatever this or that whatever is there can't be a battle if you don't show up. You know what I mean? Like you learn the way, and then that way you can protect your peace and your tranquility, or you can you can at least have a barrier between you and the world when that fucking drama train tries to hop over the curb and fucking ram your wall down for your house. And then just so you have to deal with it, because of whatever the hell that person's, they had a bad fart or something. I don't know. Or bird shit on their head. I don't fucking knows. But, or they're just, taking it out on you and they don't really mean it, but at the same time, I don't care. Don't be a dick. But, I,
but
all this to say anyway, but that.
that Zen, it's the idea of the supreme principle of true, classical liberalism, Karl Menger liberalism is respect for private property, which turns this far left, right, on its head. Because they don't believe in property, right? That's their whole thing. Oh, we can see it. I mean, whatever. There's a whole thing about seizing land, but it's like in the general level, right? The idea that you have your property, you're going to manage it, So maybe we beat that issue over the head a bunch of times, but it's I guess these are the things like I'm tuned to with my ear. And as far as the American Revolution is concerned, at least one facet, because I've heard these in the alt-right debate. Right? It's like this, it goes back to the founding of this country. Because if you get real cynical, then ultimately you go, oh, was it worth it? Right? Because I've even argued with Hindus, I mean, Indian South Asians. I go, well, Hindus or South, whatever, are the biggest part of the British Empire. So following the trend of democracy, if you had just stayed within the British Empire, you naturally could have then just taken it over, quote unquote. Right? And then we could argue about, oh, well, the law, there's a single origin or whatever. But here, I'll end with this. The UK had banned Catholics from owning guns. So at least if someone was Catholic, wouldn't that justify the American Revolution?
Say it again. I'm not
So the
thinking.
one, like, we all like, oh, tax, tax without representation. We all know that part of the American Revolution, right? But in terms of that, the Queen of England had denied, or UK government, whatever, had denied Catholics the right to bear arms. Then at least from a Catholic perspective, if you're a Catholic in the original 13 colonies, then wouldn't that make you pro-revolution, that I should have the right to bear arms and not some British,
Right.
right?
Well, it would be common sense because you're already on the frontier. You're in a new world, and you're not. It's not just about self-defense necessarily. It's also about getting food, being, other things that go along with it that have nothing to do with, so, but yes, self-defense primarily, but yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
you're right. It's multifaceted. Yeah.
well, another thing people don't realize about the American Revolution is that like it wasn't like overnight. We actually tried. We bent over backwards to try to work with them to try to try to find peaceful means to it, and it came to a head. It came to a head, and then it was like, okay, guys, we can't do either. We bow down or we take care of this, and we took care of it. But very unique time in history, for sure.
And what I love about that, I plugged that Coromeo How guy, right? What I love about, I don't know if I think his giant stuff, I don't know if that's for clicks or if he's just talking about, 6 foot, 7 foot people, which again would be giant. Anyone that's been around. When I was at UCLA frat parties, can I give you guys my UCLA frat party impersonation? You want to see it?
Sure.
Ready?
Sure.
Just me looking up, just looking up these fucking giants, right? 6'7". All your so I mean, maybe that's what that guy's talking about. But aside from that, I love his theories about the pyramids all across South America and the idea of Atlantis, like this Ireland kind of Greenland arc of Atlantis into then the New World being the old world, whatever, the Americas, again, the pyramids, the Huizca, right? They were covered in gold dust. And so the whole sacred fire and what are these societies organized around, right? And I'll even take it to the Moon Festival. Man, I was gonna even just say, hey, you want to just bust out some Torah on us, Michael, because that's even something I've been waiting for, because it's beautiful. I mean, when you just even when you get in that wading the waters, I go, oh man, this is gonna be good stuff,
Yeah, I don't have much to share for Torah, but
Okay,
not today anyway. But
didn't mean to put you on the spot just like that, but
no, I don't really have any. Not nothing that comes to mind. But there was something. Oh, about well, it's just natural. Self-defense is natural. I mean, you have. Yeah, I mean, and it's not really even that. It's just like any other thing. There's a force, and then there's you, and then sometimes that force is on you, and sometimes you are the force that you have to push back on or say, no, this is not okay, or whatever. It's a beautiful night out, man. There's actually, I just saw, I had to come out here because I live in a cul-de-sac and I saw people walking there, walking the baby and the dog and all that. And it's just kind of nice. The weather's actually been nice. Yeah. And yesterday I actually got off my ass and I mowed the lawn, so I don't have to do it on the weekend.
That's good.
So and anyway, it was good. It made me feel awesome because then it's getting that, we've talked about this before, but it's the being active. Being active. If you get up and go do something, you're more likely to be more active than just like kind of plop in the couch and assume the position of a blob.
the Baja Challenge to America's Talk Show is, I'm not even going to say 30 seconds. I'm just going to say 10 seconds. Because if I sprint for 10 seconds, I'm already like, so, I mean, Ferrigno Freedom pushed that on me.
I probably need, I know I can do it in 6 weeks. I got to make a schedule for it because I need to get back on. What's that?
Your ankle, right? You mentioned
Well, that, but it's also just, not good, but I need to get back to a state to where I can run longer, farther, whatever. And it'll be if I do it right, crawl, walk, run type thing, literally, showing up and just expending energy and then depleting that energy and then coming back the next day and doing it again and again within reason, you stair step your way up, you walk up the stairs, you don't run up the stairs, you walk up them, and then you can get there. But it would probably take me a good 6 weeks probably, and then I would be in a state to like where I really wouldn't be necessarily in shape, but I would definitely be able to hold down distance longer, let's put it that way. But like I'm not slow at all by any means. I'm also not like I'm not Usain Bolt either, right? But if I need to, I can. If I, as far as I know, I haven't raced my son in a while. but I'm fairly confident that I would be able to at least keep up with him for a very short duration, or if not outrace him. But that's probably just because I have more. I mean, when you're a kid, you have a certain advantage, but if you already had kind of been around the block before with running, you kind of know what you're capable of and what you're not, you know. But anyway, if I did have to book it, man, I'd be paying a price. Like the meter would keep running, and that shit at some point it's gonna.
Well, that's what was a major chin check for me, Michael.
Billy, come on, get in.
It's like, and that's why Dr. Sean Amara is against marathons too, because he goes, dude, I've got marathon runners as patients. They come out all messed up, right? What I realized is I can bike 3 hours, 6 hours. I mean, I can do it. Maybe the rest of the day I'll be exhausted, but I can do it no problem. And I think, oh, I'm the big king, whatever. I sprint, and by 20 seconds in, I'm done. I am dead. And I'm thinking, wow, if I was Ancient Man and some wolf or what, I was being chased or I was chasing, I'd be like, 30 seconds is all I got. And then it's eating me or I'm going hungry because I can't do it.
Well, but you also have to kind of play to that world, right? So okay, let's just say go with your scenario. Well, I got news for you. Not only would you be able to sprint for more than 20 seconds, you probably would be top flight for a good 5 fucking minutes, because what are you doing all the time? You're walking. That would imply that you would have already been in a state of fitness anyway, because you don't have a choice, because that's what you do. That would be every day to you or whatever, you know. But yeah, the only thing I hate running. I absolutely hate it. It was the worst thing. I hated it. But there is a trade-off. When I get into it and I'm doing it in its established routine, then I do enjoy it, you know, like, and I don't get that fucking runner's high. I don't get that with anything less than like 5 miles, you know, for me personally. Maybe anything above 3, I'm more likely to hit it. I don't hit it all the time, but like when you do, but that's also kind of another trick that I would do. You want to speed yourself up, like, and you are assuming that you're already kind of coming into shape, or you already are in shape, and you need an extra 30 seconds to shave off your time for the military or whatever the thing is. You go do your normal run, your normal routine. So so for the army, for the military, for the National Guard, it's 2 miles. You know, so bare minimum, you're running 2 miles. So you probably want to do a little bit more than that, so that you know you have more than enough gas in the tank. But anyway, the point is, if you can't quite seem, if you hit a plateau, what helps me is like probably, and I want to hit peak performance for me personally. This is only applies to me for this thing, to be clear.
For me.
But what I would do if I was like really looking, like if there's a promotion on the line or whatever it was, or I just wanted to hit my best or personal best or whatever, probably about 5 days before I would test. And I've experimented with what works, but around 4 or 5 days, you know, some 6 is fine. Go run for just compared to my normal runs would have been like, you know, maybe 2.5, maybe 3 miles if I'm really into it. Otherwise it's just 2.5 and then check the box and move on down the road. But I would do at least 5 miles, and I would hit a pace, and obviously I'm not trying to like break records, and I'm just trying to keep a steady pace. I'm not record breaking. I'm not doing this. I just want to prolong that muscle thing. And then what I found that was fucking awesome was when it came time by 5 days later, when it was time for me to take the PT test or whatever, when it came to the 2 mile, it was night and fucking day. It was just like I was on fucking cruise. Um, and I've tried others like where I try to force it all the way up to the point, and I found out you gotta do like one big last whatever, and then but you gotta have days of rest. You gotta have a good chunk of time between that and that, and and of course this is all age. Of course, if I was to redo all of this at this age, it would be vastly different too. But then again, also I could qualify for slower times too. So that's the benefit of the age thing. So. But I was never really a long distance runner. I'm the opposite. Like they say there's two types. There's the freaks that can just run forever, and you're probably that. It sounds like you're probably that type. And then there's the people that are, you know, they're burst they're bursty. They're
Well, I
short
had
distance.
the ankle issues, and now I'm a burster. I'm hoping to become a bursty or whatever because and this is also kind of it's an ego trip, Michael, because you delude your. I don't know. We have to come up with a catchy way of saying it, but the walking forward, ending up backwards. That's really where I was, which was a scary place because you think that I finally got this hack, right? I ended up road biking. I got this hack going. I got this cool niche subculture I'm in, right? You could totally, and then that could be a 10,000. People spend more on their wheels than I got like a Walmart bike, right? I got they're spending thousands on their wheels. And so
Enthusiasts, yeah.
down
Prosumers,
all
yeah.
that, right? And so now I've got this nice 30-minute hill here, but it gives me the climb I need. But at the end of the day, I still go, man, I hate to admit it, but my total 10-minute sprinting, and what that means is like 30-second sprint, walk a minute to try
Oh
and
yeah.
like I'm on planet Earth, right? Because then it's like Raleigh's aliens start messing with me, you know? So then I do that 5 times. We got five
They're
little.
my aliens, and you fucking remember that, okay? They are my aliens, and I will come after you. I will use them to come after you if you mess with me.
Language, Raleigh. No, okay. So what I'm saying, Michael, is I'm wrestling with this shocking thing that again, from Freedom No Freedom of all people, that I'm like, who's this? I just another YouTuber. I'm like, dude, I had to spend first. It used to be I needed 3 hours to bike, right? Then it used to be I needed an hour. Now I need 30 minutes. But then I go, all I need is this 10-minute sprint. It's almost like I don't. And so it's like once a week type of thing. But it's just like, can it be this? So and then I gotta okay. My plan is to get the body cam thing going. What's it called? The streaming.
Well, I mean, I haven't had a chance to participate in this conversation at all, so I'm going to participate. I have since I've returned to the office on the 11th. I've been increasing my walking, so I was getting like 1,500 to 2,000 steps a day, and now it's like 15,000 to 20,000 steps a day. And I have to say, I feel so much better. My metabolism's better. It's like you said, Shaw. My energy is better. I'm tired like when I first arrive home because I've just been walking for like 7 or 8 miles. But after about an hour, after I like take a little nap or something, I start to feel so much better. And yeah, no, like I strongly recommend that. But my one thing about running is that I can't do it for very long because after about 30 seconds, I start getting shin splints.
That's enough. Don't do more than 30
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah. No, I knew guys like that. It was really that shit's not fun. That like the guys that would run and they would have nothing to do because you have to run. When that's just every day. And it really sucks when those guys had to do it. But there's all kinds of types too. Like my knee, I got a bad like my right knee is it was fucked 3 times when I was in the line of duty. Not for doing anything fucking cool and like saving a life or something heroic. No. It was on the fucking when we went to the range, and then there's a certain kind of way that you sit, like when because you practice you do standing, you do sitting on your knee, or you can kind of tuck your knee. It's kind of a weird, funky thing. Totally fine if you're flexible, but for some reason I never had a problem. But then this one time. I was doing that, and we were qualifying or whatever, zeroing the weapon, and like when I qualified just fine, but then like when I got up, I felt a pop, and it was like then my knee went really loose, and I was like, but I could still walk, and I was like, oh, that's weird, that's really unusual for me. And anyway, later on in the weekend when we were cleaning weapons, it's just you're in a National Guard, you're pretty much just in this massive semi garage warehouse type concrete floor, maybe folding chairs and maybe a bunch of fucking tables that are put out. That's about it. But or you're sitting on your ass on the floor cleaning, with your bros, cleaning the weapon or whatever. And then, I went up to get a drink of water. 3 steps later, fall right on my ass. And I was like, what the fuck, And then I couldn't move my knee. It was like locked up. And
Yeah.
and anyway, that was a trip, and then I did it a couple more times. Like one was due to running when I was running, and then the other time was the same kind of situation, and I was like, well, well, let me go ahead and try the same position again. I wonder what's gonna happen. Gosh, fucking like that, and of course,
You
what
should be a
happens?
voice actor. That's great. I would watch that adult animated cartoon.
Well, maybe we can clip it or something. I don't know, but anyway, that's like this.
When
That's
they start doing AI cartoons, I want you as one of the voice actors.
right. Well, it's just like, well, let me try it again. Gosh, well, nothing bad will happen. Fuck your knee. That's what's gonna happen. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, but but I would say that every time it happened, my recovery time was a lot quicker. So, you know,
No,
and
but
I
you
had at least presence of mind the first time I went to rehab to go to do water therapy.
oh
And I was smart, and I think that helped. And then I did it again another time, but and then the other time it was just like, okay, this is like old hat, like it's not a big deal. You kind of know what to do. Crutches suck, that kind of thing. And I remember like one day, like I got back, and it was like the first time. It was so horrible. Like it was like maybe a week later or something, And at the time I was married, and my son was a baby, and like I was a smoker at that time, so I was coming back in from the patio from smoking, and I wasn't coordinated, and I went to step because I was going to stumble and fall, and I'd reach out to put my foot down, like the bad knee foot, and then all of a sudden, like, of course it can't do anything, so I just crumple on the fucking floor, and I'm fucking crying and pissed off, and Noah's crying, and and he's crying, and it's just this horrible fucking no good, very bad day kind of morning, and it was just like. But once you kind of, okay, you have your frustration cry, what I was just like, this sucks. And then you get it out, and then, the day went on. But man, that day sucked. It was
no
not
no
fun.
that's why the health is so vital, and you set me up perfectly, Michael, because I'm gonna pose it to Raleigh this way. I want to tap into his nerd computer science side, right? So Raleigh, you gave us your step counts, right? Okay. What if, right, God willing in God's time, okay, or the Anunnaki time, whatever, right? When you count how many steps you sprint, you'll realize it's such a small amount. And so you're going to end up trading. How many steps did you do today?
um, 1 second. Let me see, because it keeps going up. 15,900.
Okay, 15,900. Somehow I'm going to have to guesstimate how many. I don't know if you call it when you sprint. Is that a sprinting step? But how many of those are? And that may be the winning motivation, because you're going to quantum leap. I mean, you got the will.
I'm not running in public.
Not in public. What's public, dude?
I don't want people to see me on campus running.
Oh man, you just gotta swallow that sword. You just gotta.
Listen to
You got to
Brother
tackle that
Michael.
one little bit at a time when you're ready. When you're ready, but you'll have your own path if you want to pursue that and make it a thing that you want to conquer. That's
Praise the Lord.
I
See,
kind of worry too, because there's like there's federal police like the FPD, and they're around there. And if they start seeing people running on campus, I kind of like
people, this guy, he's already thinking he's Forrest Gump, dude. Let's
all
just start
all
with
you need all you need is the like the clipboard trick. Have you heard of this? Like the meme, that the
no.
clipboard trick, like where you can walk into any building with a fucking clipboard and act like you can't you can't be dressed like a fucking hobo. But if you dress like they dress, you can just walk around with a fucking clipboard. I'm not kidding. Like that's how some of those offensive security guys or whatever do that.
confidence game.
Yeah, well, but the same thing, but for just get like a fucking I don't know what a fucking running douchebag would wear, or a accessory or something. I don't know, whatever, maybe that'll make it feel a little bit easier to
Yeah,
a
you got
layer
to
a
be
layer.
like oh man, what do you call those?
Because people run all the time. Like white people love to run everywhere.
That's
Fucking-
true. Well, that's the funny thing. Like, y'all keep talking, and I live here in Austin, And like one big thing here, I don't know y'all ever heard of Lance Armstrong, but
Yeah.
a big deal here, and it's been this way since I moved here. It was probably like this decades before I moved here, but it's bicycling.
Hmm.
And every time I've been in my car and I've driven anywhere, there's been more bicyclists than I can count on both my hands. And even after Lance Armstrong fell from fame, even after all that, like people still do bicycles here on the weekends. It's bad, and and Mike and Roll, they go all out. They've got the helmets, the outfits, they've got the numbers on the back, like they're actually
Fucking
in like
bicycling Barbie and bicycling Ken, and they come in
yes,
the plastic box, and
that's exactly what it's fucking like.
funny,
I could
making fun.
next Saturday when I go to my parents, which are down the way, I should just videotape them and send it to y'all. Y'all
Hmm,
wouldn't believe it, and it's like that all the time.
hmm.
And like bicycling to me, like it hurts my crotch and shit. I hate it. I don't get it. They've ruined it.
They ruined
No,
it.
I got a special I'm too lazy to post it now, but it was a eureka moment where like, why do I have this shit narrow seat that's giving me rug burns? And so thank you, Jack Ma. Always an American patent. Always an American patent, but made in China. Okay. But it was this triangular bike seat. Imagine a normal bike seat, but perfectly angled out, aerodynamic, like fucking Top Gun style, Tom Cruise like that. And that was the moment that was like, oh, this is like sitting on a park bench. So that changed it. But I agree with you 100%, Raleigh. It's like the snobbery of it has ruined it. And like, and look, I'm giving you the shortcut. Just go with the Sprint, get the Vibram 5 fingers. I don't know if Mike's into that. I got those Gorilla Toe shoes.
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I
I've
used
seen
to have
those.
some of those. Yeah,
Are
So
they
less
that comfortable?
just for running, only for sprinting. I'm only
I
very limited.
I fuck with them for a while for like regular wear, like just somewhere between athleisure kind of thing, and bumming around the house, and then light trips around the thing, and they were all right. But I didn't do, but then again, I didn't do the nerd thing, or I didn't really use them for like what their purpose was. So like I mean, it was just kind of a cool thing to like wear for a little bit, and I really liked them.
Did it feel
I
like
can't
you were
remember the.
walking barefoot?
It felt different. I don't. It
Not
felt.
barefoot. Not it just feels like, you have more contact with the
I I did feel, and this is probably more a mental thing. I did feel a little bit light, more agile, I guess. I don't know how, like I felt like I had a little bit more, dexterity, whatever, than like a big old, like kind of like when you go from like wearing, work boots and you're wearing those all the time, and then you go to, I don't know, really, really good running shoes or lighter weight shoes, and you're like, damn, these, you feel like you can, really, really move.
there's the NBA is notorious for ankle injuries. Okay. And what I learned from CT his song, dude, Michael hasn't checked him out yet on Twitter. He's the Michigan State. He was like college starting linebacker or whatever, and then he got like paralyzed neck down. And anyways, then he recovered from all that. But the amount of injuries in football and the Zen moment, okay, he was like, there don't need to be injuries. He's like, if you engineer the play right, once you realize pro anything is so engineered, right? Every single play is scripted to so many degrees. And then, I mean, look at the penalty system. They've ruined football, right? So instead of ruining it, it's again the drunken boxing, the Tai Chi, capoeira, right? Telegraphing. What does Trump do? He's telegraphing, right? He's letting you know what's coming. And so then you gotta react with it, right? The whole jujitsu thing, using your enemy's momentum. And so I don't know where I was going with all that, but that's good stuff.
That's funny you mentioned Trump. The level of cope, the amazing ability somehow. I don't know how this fucking happened. I mean, I do, but I'm just going with the novelty of the thought, or just the carnival nature of this thought, which is amazingly. Well, we were talking about Europe, and we were talking about the old order and stuff. It's amazing how many hard leftists were, and this is not an original thought to me. People have been calling it out all day on Twitter for like the last several weeks with when all the geniuses decided it was a good idea to like do a gasoline bomb for a Tesla park, you know, to firebomb the Tesla lot for all the EVs. I thought you guys were for that, but it's amazing how they have to twist themselves into pretzels to defend the old status quo, the old order, the same order that gave us 21 years of war. That was uh, an absolute catastrophe for a lot of things and put us back in so many parts of the world. Whatever, you get the point. But it's amazing how even with this latest, it just seems like whenever he does something like with this tariff thing, and then all the Democrats, all the mainstream media line up on the other side in opposition, they're waiting for him to drop. And this 2.0, anyway, this is my thing, and I'll retire here to let somebody else give somebody else a chance to talk. But it's amazing to me how tighter Trump 2.0 was. It's kind of fucked up because it kind of shows you how much further ahead we could have been under the first term had there not been any more shenanigans from the rhino right that got their claws on, and then they're like, okay, well, this is just like any other president, and then it's really not about the president or really who it is because they're I don't want to say they're statist, but
Yeah,
they're
legalist. I mean, that's
but their god is power, and they don't give a shit. It's just another way for them to entrench, you know, to accumulate more power for whatever their
Can
think
you
tank is, or
mention like some names of people that you would associate with this group?
like for what for the group that I was talking about.
Yes,
or
Yeah,
like
all the old any of the Trump 1.0 people that were like not quite on the inside of Trump world, but they had some kind of a semi in, but not really. But they were known. It was more of like the known associations, like you know, like all the Rex
Trump
Tillersons,
1.0 wasn't
like
going to go
like
in and see
like
security clearances, right?
yeah,
Like,
like all the fucking people that were whispering in his ear in the background to say, "Hey, you should have this guy for your da 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 da," you know, whatever. And then he said, "Okay, yeah, sure." You know, what does he know? You know, he it was false trust, abuse, but incredibly different world, night and day.
yes.
And you
me.
know, even when in the stock, it's not like I'm some fucked up caricature of the Joker from Joker 1 from Joaquin Phoenix. You know, I butcher his name all the time anyway. From when Phoenix was the Joker. It's not like I had like I just want to watch the world burn, or like I just want to get it back at the rich or the whatever you know, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It's that like all this is you to them to them it's like the you know, the old Wu-Tang song, it's that famous song. I think it's Triumph anyway, but it was like kind of the dumb are intrigued by the sound of the drum. That's how I think of it mentally, like with these people, and they just can't help but that, like a lemming, they just can't help, they just can't wait to run off that cliff fast enough, you know. It really is remarkable, and it makes me so fucking proud. I have never experienced this level of happiness, satisfaction with somebody that I voted for, because it is so fucking worth it to see like, okay, full foot on the gas. You didn't have Lutnick in there, whatever. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but
Talked about tariffs, right? Do we have to pull up his speeches? I mean, I don't know why people are blind, like pretending
well,
like, oh, this is a blind sighting.
okay, like, okay, you say what you want of Lutnick or whatever. I don't get bogged down on that. Okay, like I can easily see the perspective. I'm kind of neutral on him as a messenger. I appreciate that he's a tool, another weapon that the new right can use for affecting serious change, massive change that America needed. Fucking when I was a kid, when it was our fathers in power and our fathers voting and all this, but nobody wanted to touch nothing. And they just went along. Anyway, the whole point is like I am so immensely proud of that. And I get, I obviously I have a thing with Musk or whatever, which is I can put that aside, whatever. But Peter Navarro, yeah, I can appreciate Peter Navarro. I get it. I understand why he's an easy target to pick on or whatever. I get it. I can understand the perspective of like he's not the messenger that we want to hear. We just want to hear from Besant, But at the same time, all of those things going on at the same time, when I hear Scott Besant speak, and then we have this relationship with him because we knew who he was before anybody else because of two-way and all of that stuff, it makes you feel proud and it makes you feel a little bit more confident in what's going on, and that the same fucking excuses are all around the circle for Trump to point out, oh, well, he'll fuck up or oh, well, he didn't have a plan. They didn't have a plan.
When did
They
Scott
didn't,
Bessent come on two-way?
what's that?
When did Scott Bessent used to come on two-way?
He came on, he was guest one time. He was guest one time, and it was in the evening show, I believe. But he came on, and it was a great show. It was awesome. It was fucking awesome. It was really cool. It was really cool.
Well,
But
no,
it's
this is the eureka moment. I feel like Chris is essentially playing the role of the heel or
Was
the
it before
press.
the election or after the election?
before the election. Before.
Continue, Raul. Start interrupting you.
No. It's beginning to make sense. Chris plays the in wrestling, right? We're gonna wrestle, and Chris is the role of the heel, or vice versa, right? But in the sense of he's the press, and because I was just thinking, right, part of this whole problem is, how does anyone deal with a hostile media, right? Like someone like in Trump's position, like here we're having a pleasant conversation. Now, if someone comes in the room and starts, whoa, well, you guys are full of, and it's like, how do we start? But that's essentially what our format is, right? With Chris or Dan Olivo, for example, right? And so that is now I'm like discovering, oh, this is the game, the art. Michael's already, I think, dealt with this a lot more. So
Yeah, I just don't like. I mean, we might not agree, but we don't really lock horns like that. I mean, a couple times, like we have on the chat, like one day I didn't realize it. Like he was talking about the election, and I was really shortcutting him. I was really shortchanging him. I was like, I was the one in the chat. I said something like I gave a very flippant response, which was shoulda, coulda, woulda, like that. Just like I get it, like shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever. And he didn't like, but we never really got into, haven't really locked horns, too much with him. I mean, if he disagrees, he definitely has asked me, and I like. He will actually listen. He will actually listen to you. I listen to him. Like when it was just me when the first doing the post show or the post meetup, whatever, it was just me and like, maybe James once in a while, but it was like me and four or five other, they were all Harris supporters. They were all that, but nobody stepped on my toes.
wait, so
They
were you
actually
really
asked.
on the like one against, like the way Dan Oliva says, oh, with 9 against 1? So you were on the reverse of that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I never felt like I was threatened, or I never felt defensive. I never felt defensive
Well, it was
because they were all
entertaining because
reasonable, and we just had an exchange of ideas. Like they asked me, they were really sincerely interested in, well, why would you not vote for Harris or whatever? Because I came in as an independent,
Yeah.
and then and when the Biden thing does, I wasn't all the way firmed up on. I was generally speaking closer to Trump than not, Um but anyway, long story short, it worked out to be like, and then I saw, and I sincerely gave Kamala, I really did give her a chance. I gave her I thought I was trying to do like the best possible chance, which it was like I thought the game, if she had 3 inches more charisma, this thing could have been a completely different thing, because you have the natural thing that there was no counter to on the right, which was, well, they got an 80-year-old. We got rid of our 80-year-old, and we got a youngish black woman relative to the age. Okay, she's not
got rid of Grandpa. Look,
right,
we were able to get
but
rid of Grandpa.
60-year-old black woman who could have easily played into the generational woman thing, more than she did. I think that she just kind of thought
I
that
don't
that
know
was going to
if
come up
I,
with it.
yeah, yeah.
It never materialized because she doesn't have any charisma, and she has no innate talent for public speaking or communicating at all. Now, maybe she, giving credit where due, okay, she had a few zingers or whatever for the Kavanaugh hearing, but at the same time, that Kavanaugh hearing was very serious. And then maybe she had her little moment on the debate stage where the thing. But what they forget though is like the next week later on in the debates, um, Tulsi came through and waxed that ass. She laid her out. She fucking laid her out, and Kamala was done at that point anyway. She didn't even make it to the first fucking prime. Like she has no talent hack whatsoever. Um.
They're
Anyway,
empty shells. Actually, the way that dating comes up, the Sam Hyde mistaken. The only reason I followed Sam Hyde is because I thought I personally had exchanged DMs with him when it turns out it was Ricky Vaughn, the guy known as Ricky Vaughn on Twitter. But what Sam Hyde portrayed as these corporate placeholders or whatever, right? These women that are dating the CEOs and now they fill a corporate position to satisfy some quota. That happens in the political world. Kamala Harris was that. I saw that in McAllen. Okay, my ex knew that whole world. Because remember, I was a union organizer, right? So I rubbed shoulders with these politicians. And so it was all about who could hook them up with what girls. And what do these girls love? They loved being around power, right? So we actually, I won't say names now, but scored dates because we were kind of on the inside, so we could talk so we were this strange, exotic, right? Union organizers. Like they're like, "Oh, so you're a doctor?" Because I'm like, "Oh," they're like, "Oh, you're Indian?" I go, "Yeah." They go, "Oh, you're a doctor?" I go, "No, I'm a union organizer." And they go, "What's that?"
yeah.
But it showed me what that power, how they're drawn to it, and Kamala Harris. She came up with Willie Brown, right? Just so people, YouTube audience knows what we're talking
I
about.
didn't even touch that part, but you're 100% correct. Yes, that absolutely plays into this.
Michael, oh my God, if we had AI working here, if the screenshot would come up from my X feed where the camera turns to her and the sub caption, I used auto captions on the YouTube, and the reporter goes, "Are you his daughter?" And she, like Kamala Harris, looks like, "No, I'm his date," with Willie
Hmm.
Brown. It was so funny,
I
dude.
think I saw that one. I think I saw that. Yeah. Well.
It's
Yeah.
such a
Well. Yeah.
stick.
Yeah. I.
These people act so moral high. It pisses. You don't know. I know these people from the inside. One guy's suffering. He can't eat an egg burrito. He cannot have a breakfast burrito with eggs because his wife is a vegan, and if she finds out, she's gonna give him the fifth, and then she's obese, she's out of shape, and it's just like, dude, don't talk about saving the workers of the world. You can't save yourself. Sorry, man. I went way deep there. Woo.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, well, and I have to rehash why I don't. Everybody knows why she lost, but it's remarkable. But I keep having these feelings of satisfaction that I have not had that. Maybe the first time was like when I first voted. I came out of the box default, right? So my home is naturally a little bit more right leaning anyway. So I came out of high school, young adult, preferring the Republicans for the most part. And then later on that changed as many times as it does in one's life. But it was the first time I voted and I really liked George Bush and I really loved his cabinet. I love Donald Rumsfeld, Condoleezza Rice. We're putting all the labels off to the side, neocon, whatever. I don't care about that. But just the excitement of of my first time voting. But that satisfaction was much different than this one. This one is, oh my God, he's actually doing what he fucking said he would do. So, that's why
The nerve of the fella.
well, it's funny to me that I'm not MAGA. I'm just not MAGA. That is not who I am. That is not like I am more independent minded, but I am willing to go to the mattress and hold the line and do everything I need to do.
Fine women.
What's
And-
that? What was
Did
that?
Raleigh
y'all
was-
see that?
Something was playing in the background.
Raleigh was trying to share something. It didn't share though.
Oh, that's what, sorry. It distracted me, but what was I saying? Whatever.
Rothfeld and okay.
Oh yeah.
There we go. The AI is at work.
Women.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Turn the captions on.
It's Facebook, and I don't have
Oh
an.
no, it says CC. Is it disabled? It's got CC right there. I see the CC. Oh yeah, there we go. Thai language.
Yeah, I mean, only you're going to be able to read one of these. All.
You know, Michael, what I feel is missing is ultimately from the media is nuance. Okay, like just for example, Doge. We can talk about. Oh, I don't like the lithium batteries and Tesla software. Okay, that has nothing to do with a basic nerd database. Interestingly, this got mentioned, I think, in one of these lefty, I don't know where it was about how, oh, Obamacare, Silicon Valley people saved that. Well, that was my buddy. Okay. His company was with Time Magazine. They had to overhaul the Obamacare website. Doge is doing what any software engineer would do. You would feed all the damn data into a database. You'd run all sorts of AI algorithms to analyze, spit out, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And yeah, you would try to be careful with everything you're doing, but I mean there's no like we're gonna break this and we're gonna go and we're gonna flip it. This is a sinister. It's just
Right.
whatever. And if any one of us were to go in front of the media, that's a devil that until you wrestle with it 1,000 gazillion times like Trump has, you can't possibly know how and what to say and when to say it. So you're gonna walk in and fudge like I did with Mark Halperin. So it's like,
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, Elon. It's not that I go back and forth on the Doge. It's not that I don't think that it's a good idea or anything. That's probably my weakest part of the equation, I guess, for the Trump thing. Like, we're good. Matt Gaetz, we're good. I went to war. I actively went to. I started the war machine. I started the rhetoric. I started the batting down of every fucking senator or every fucking asshole who would say who would poo-poo it and say this is a terrible choice. Shut the fuck up. We're doing it. And I supported 100%, 110%, full throttle all the way. Let's see it happen. Let's see it play out. If we have to readjust, we'll readjust. But from the get-go, square one, I'm starting in to defend all of them, every single one. So in a way, I saw plenty of hardcore MAGA accounts that I have known or I have seen over the years be kind of back away from the edge for some things and have a little bit more of a nuanced opinion. But I guess it makes me a little bit more harder core for whatever reason because I want to see this change happen. If he fucks up, fine. We'll take it in stride. We're gonna fuck up, but at no time in history has this ever occurred. Whether you like Trump or hate Trump or whatever, objectively speaking, this man is coming in. He is a disruptor, and he is disrupting shit left and right. Hopefully, for the longer term, now the results are out or whatever. But as far as like, Chris said something about the about race and like how he thinks that his view was that in the midterms that because he didn't say that he thinks he has a thing here with his DEI. Maybe he does. I don't know. It's very interesting that I pick up on it, but I countered that a little bit by, and I didn't complete the thought earlier in the meeting today, but it was basically like, I just don't see that happening. Like, I mean, the numbers we got from were the numbers for what, and he may not like it, and he says, so what if it's 15%? That's what his thing. Well, it's not so what because it is historic record breaking GOP for the GOP. Now, also the argument was all for the my argument to him about that whole thing was like he doesn't got to get 30% of the black vote. He's just got to get enough to pull it away from the Democrats. And he did. But in the midterms, I don't think that the DEI thing will be a factor at all. I don't think it'll be a factor at all. And I say that because by that time, the most important thing that's going to be on everyone's mind is it's going to be a referendum, a report card on Trump. And either he has results that he can point to and it's going to help the GOP or he doesn't. It's a very straight up,
Now, and,
you
and
know,
to your point, Michael, I have noticed that when the Democrats attack him now, at least when they get really, really energetic and when they come out in full force, it isn't really about DEI anymore. Like they don't even touch that anymore. It's like the mainstream media and everybody,
they try really hard, but it's a joke. It's one of their clowns or
yeah,
their newest clowns like Jasmine Crockett, who is representative Waffle House, or representative World Star Hip Hop. That is her persona.
but I would
Of
say they're much more effective messaging is like when they attack him on tariffs, when they attack him for signal gates, when they attack him for even cutting
right.
federal employees
You're
seems to
right. Yeah.
energize them more than whenever they go after the DEI thing. It's like
Well,
that they've just completely been
they
deflated on that
they
issue.
they have tried all the dirty tricks that they normally do with the DEI thing. Like there have been some legitimate gotchas, okay, that have happened. Like when the executive order came out, and then some fucking jackass stooge who is a bureaucrat, deep state, whatever you want to call it, in the military, didn't they followed they malicious compliance. Like they removed something that is like historically known to be a, what are you fucking doing? Like you're trying to make this worse than it looks. You know what I mean? Like like some classical part of American history that is part of all of our consciousness of growing up, of like MLK or something along those lines, that like it was desegregation of the military or what, blah 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 blah. Like they'll strip the, or they'll take it off the on the story, and then some fucking cocksucker will come on, and then they'll like repost it and try to make it they'll try to make it blow up. Like, see, this is what the whites, then they'll lead. Then the next step would be something something racism, something something white supremacy, something something, and then it goes back into that feedback loop of Nazi, Hitler, Orange Man bad, they did it, whatever. But they've tried to. They haven't caught fire. They haven't caught
No,
fire.
they haven't caught fire with it. And you can just tell, like going to the next election, they're just by the time they approach that, unless something happens, some big event, I just don't think that's something they're going to feel very confident rallying around. I just because it's just not working. Every time they do it,
I
they
agree with you.
really
Yeah.
get behind it with energy, and it's just looking more and more like to me they're going to go after them on tariffs, the economy. They're kind of hoping that the economy implodes in the
They
short
do.
term.
Absolutely. They'll say
And
one thing that those motherfuckers are just, they're just waiting for his.
What's the, it's like, I don't
no, and
know.
like just one more thing, Roll. I rarely get to speak. So just one more thing. Um, I wanted to say this one more thing. It's so funny to me that if you go back to like the 90s and you watch those videos of Nancy Pelosi, PPD keeps showing them every time he gets a chance. And Nancy Pelosi's standing there going over this like cutout board, and she's saying, "This is how many jobs we have because of China. This is how many jobs China has because of us." And it's like 10 million versus 100,000 or something. And she's saying, "This is how much. This is our trade deficit with China." You know, it's so funny to me. Like, you go back 10, 20, 30 years, and the left owned this tariff issue. They were all over it. They were all in favor. Now, all of a sudden, it's like free trade, free trade, free trade, free trade. When the fuck did that happen? I don't remember that party ever being about free trade. But that's what they plan on going into the election with. It's like, it astonishes me. So they're now going to be the party of free traders and laissez-faire economics. Are they going to be holding Adam Smith and Ayn Rand up at rallies? I mean, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, no, they're not going to be able to make that crossover.
So then where the fuck are they on these issues? They're so basically they're just for free trade for rich people.
Yeah.
Multinational corporations. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's whatever
Globalists.
they want to be whenever they want to be it. That's what I
Fucking
learned.
globalist.
There's no hard and fast. You can't hold them to any objective or principle. They're just trying to, like, you know,
Well, it's fucked up. It creates the most perfect tee up that the perfect tee up. And I love rhetoric and I love the back and forth of it anyway. But creates the perfect like where you set up to ready to get the spike the fucking ball like a nuclear spike, like where they go in. Oh, roti, that's cool. Masala.
Yeah, I forgot to put one out for my dad. I put everything out except the essential. So
Right on. Yeah, they're gonna tee it up, and what's gonna happen is gonna be, um, they're gonna go, okay, so you're for free trade and intertwined American economic. Okay, you give them that point, and then and then you go into the whole thing. So basically, what you're saying is you care more about somebody making more money in another country than you actually give a shit about, say, the party of healthcare is going to give a shit about, like what about us here back home? And then they'll say, well, we can do it all. No, we can't fucking do it all, jackass. Anyway, it's just going to be perfect thing of like, no, we can't. And because it naturally implies that that they value that person in another country over homeless vets or whatever, pick your, or even a fucking illegal, undocumented, illegal alien here, well, and they keep falling into it. They're like, well, we need to have the cheap labor. Well, we'll figure it out, okay? We'll figure it out. Maybe it is true that some Americans won't work or whatever, or whatever, The the rhetoric on the right is a little weak on the factories bringing factory jobs over because nobody wants to be an iPhone, nobody wants to be the guy that screws all the whatever whatever factory job. They might have a point there, but will they the other side of the coin too is can they actually exploit it? And they can't. You can't exploit it unless you have one or two or three, you know, pillars of the party, like how it should be. But now they have like instead of having like two or three titans that would normally fill in that role until the next King Dick, Team Blue person is, whatever, whoever the next king or queen Dick is for the Democrat Party to be their spokesperson. They don't have that now. They have a whole bunch of little. I don't know. They have a whole bunch of little toy soldiers that are they think they're toy soldiers, but really they're just little clown miniatures, They're the to kind of tie it into the culture wars. They're the fucked up looking dented trans Warhammer figurine that nobody wants to fucking play with or whatever, like the the unwanted toy, whatever, like a hilarious joke. I try to reach there for a joke, but you can clearly see I am not a comedian, so I will, I will somehow live with that shame. But yeah, and I think people say it all the time, and they're right. It's too early. We don't know. We don't even know what is the thing that we think that doesn't work today could very well work tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? But good luck fucking finding that mountain face. You gotta find somewhere to put your first meat hook into to climb the thing. But then they're not anywhere near close to getting purchased on any wall or even starting to climb because they're so busy. They're more happy to run off the cliff for some reason. It really is remarkable. Like, and how much did the stock market go up, by the way, anyway, at the end of the day?
Let me look.
Because I saw it real time when I was in the
Dow
afternoon. I had to look
Jones went up 7.87%.
That's a
The
lot.
S&P 500 went up 9.52%. The Nasdaq Composite went up 12.16%.
Damn. Teflon Don. Unbelievable. Remarkable. Like what's the meme on the right, which is like what a time or what we're in this timeline. I don't know. I can't complete the thought, but it's crazy. Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome because I saw a sea of red because I have YouTube TV and I'll turn on the financials. Like I like the financials because there might be a little bit of lean there, but at some point they're gonna, they can lie, but at some point, if there's enough money on it, the lie will be found out.
Do you invest? Do you play like the stock market or?
Not with any seriousness. I more of a learning adventure. Let's just put it this way. Like, I want to learn more, but the thing is, I'll learn, and I do plan on making money from it. But the problem with the stock market is you have to have a big, and I mean a big pile of money. You have to have essentially what it would cost for a house, like say 400K or 200K, to actually make money from it, and then park it, and then hopefully you're young
Why?
enough.
Why do you say that? What? I mean, I'm an idiot here when it comes to.
Well, I'm not saying that you shouldn't in get into the stock market or whatever, but like like any kind of pipe dreams of like being a day trader is like that's just that's as silly of a notion as crypto bros. You know what I mean? Like the thing. Now, don't take my word for it. I'm not a financial anything. I'm just a dumbass who
But I'm
occasionally.
asking, why do you feel like you need 200K? Because making long-term investments, the returns just aren't good enough. I mean, what?
No, because okay, I'm just really I'm going to skate through this real quick. So don't, pin me down too hard, but um so the stock market, right? So they say like, let's just say I'm just making this up. Let's just say you have 400K. Okay. Now you can take that money and you can do a lot of things with it. You can buy another property. That's not ever going to be a bad choice unless you make a stupid choice on the property and it just doesn't go anywhere. That can happen with anybody. There's that way, or you can do a business. You can invest that into a business and do that and make it grow. You can put it in a savings account. Certainly will grow. You can buy a bunch of bonds or whatever. You can put it in a money market account and maybe have 5% interest or something for a certain period of time, or a CD or whatever the hell. But if you have it in the stock market, what is I'm just again I'm making it up. Let's just say you park it there for 10 years, whatever, to be really aggressive. You could end up with 30% return on that money in 10 years, or even 15% or something even better, that will actually build more. And then as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, what you're trying to do eventually is to get a snowball going, right? You know how the snowball works, right? So like if you have a good core chunk of money in your 20s, again, this is all time. This is not get rich quick. This is long term. So if you have it 400K in the stock market in a very aggressive portfolio or whatever, and you lose here, you lose there, but over the long term, first 10 years you get 15%, maybe the next 10 years you get 30%, whatever. All of that shit is adding up until your money starts making money. You know what I mean? Like, and you got to really have a lot of money at that point. You got to be in the millions before, it's actually starts to make you money. But anyway, the point is that's what I feel. That's what I think. Now, am I going to be able to do that at some point? It would be really nice if I could, but I'm probably going to go on the more traditional classic side of the house, which is property. Property, you get property and then you hold it and you can make money. You can do something with it. Or if anything else, you can use it as a, springboard to get credit or, whatever that is for the next step or whatever. But that's my thinking anyway. But I don't know anything else than anybody else is. So if I lost my job tomorrow, clock starts ticking on how long I can stay in my house, just like everybody else, just like everybody else. Old man. I'm an old man.
All right, I gotta go to bed because
Yeah,
I
you
got.
look like you're about ready to.
I keep forgetting the time over there.
Oh
Hey,
yeah, it's fucking 7:05 over there, isn't it?
That's yours, my man.
Damn, seven. See, that's another thing. There's another reason why I like the West Coast because it's the thing. But yeah, it would be the same day, same length of day. But I really got used to the West Coast because I was used to those hours and remote and then hand off or whatever for work. But anyway, yeah.
all
Well,
right.
have a good night, Raleigh, and I hope you get a good night's sleep, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Oh, later, Raleigh.
Oh yeah. He was tired. You could tell he was ready for bed. He was like, I'm in ready for sleepy blinky time. And I'm not far behind him if I'm being honest, but like I did lay down for like maybe a 15-minute cat nap. But that's the other thing too. Like I find like if I'm more sedentary, I'm more likely to take a nap and sleep longer. It's another check on it's another one of nature's miracles of knowing if you're on the right track or the wrong track. If you're sleeping all the time, guess what you're going to want to do more of? Sleep.
Yeah.
If you're more active and you're more get up and go, you're going to be more likely to be get up and go. It's very, very basic.
This whole motive force, we'll see if we can conclude in a profound sort of manner, but it's like I guess early on when I was in Texas, I mean, then I had my son a lot more, and it just sparked a whole new motivation, right? And then
Hmm.
with me moving back here because of my parents' accidents or whatever, that motivation was gone all of a sudden, right? And then now it's like I had to lift this heavy boulder with my parents, which I feel now it has been lifted, and this show is the omen. Like, oh my goodness, now there's a motivation, like, which I'm like, oh, I have real work, like real homework, like it's like getting me to think about, because going back to the coding and everything, like there's code is logic is infinite in terms of vision. What can you apply it to? And all of a sudden I'm like looking at the YouTube API, and I'm like, oh, how can I make Raleigh's job easier, or the hosting, or make the host job easier?
Right.
And I've even thought of like a signature book, like a guest book for the morning show.
Hmm.
I mean, people
That's a
to
good idea.
yeah. So anyway, I know it's 9 o'clock there, your time, right?
Yeah, I don't mind. I can go for a little bit longer, unless you gotta go. That's fine too. Like, it doesn't
Well,
bother me. But
okay, let me express it as a golden rule sort of thing. I know for me, I'm trying to establish 9 p.m. as a cutoff time for me. So I feel like I'm betraying you if I was in your time zone.
oh, you're fine. No, no. Like if this were like that one night or whatever, then it'd be hurting. But that's also part of the thing of you got to live a little too. And
It's worth it.
I'm pretty good in getting up in the morning and getting going and stuff. I don't really have a problem waking up. I don't use alarms. Like, and that's because of the
You mind if I
military.
do a spot check with my mom, see if she got
Yeah,
it?
go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Family first. Yeah, family first.
Okay, you can. It's all green screened out, but I'm kind of this laptop. Okay, I think my mom has everything. Good. Okay. No, I'm just making sure that you got everything. Guy is here. Michael, my friend, YouTube talk. Yes. You want to say hi?
Hello.
Let's see.
Hi.
Hello. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Yeah. I'll make sure to do hair and makeup next time. So
Oh, it's all good.
that's raw, YouTube raw, right? That's just, that's kind of the other thing, Michael. It's like ultimately, we're just truly independent, right? I mean, even if we make mistakes, we're making them. That's why Raleigh asked about the religious experience. My one the other day was because right. I mean, it's 12 step, one day chip here, right? Like I get zonked, right? Like full disclosure, I get zonked. And then, that's unfortunate because then what's the typical, if this was heroin in the stories, the 12-step speakers, they nod off, right? Like my dad, he nods off, right? So for me being zonked is like, oh, I lie back, right? But if I'm lucky, I kind of go into a meditative state. And the religious experience was like, I interacted with Mark Halperin. In the olden days, he's a pro wrestler, right? He's an intellectual media person. Oh my God, that is a journalist, another stratosphere. And now it's like, I just went toe to toe with him. And then it's like, wait a minute, we're just like, who knows? God willing, one day Mark Halperin will see this. But it's like, dude, we're just, we're brothers here, baby,
Yeah,
And,
yeah, I hear you. Yeah. I'm tracking.
and so with that whole space opening up, and man, I was talking about the religious experience again, but
Word up.
Yes. Now, so yeah, just now the motivations of like doing this slowly, getting organized, like it's still trippy, right? Because you think like the recovered Jackie, she goes, well, this will never go. And see, then there's my armpits again. I feel like I need to have full sleeve like polos.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit.
I know. I know. I know.
I don't care. I don't. That's the other thing too. When you get older, you kind of like those things drop away. You're like, okay, like if I get up from my desk, will I see my gut? Yeah. So who gives a shit? Like, and then what's the point of getting upset about it? Because it's a factual thing. It's a part of factual reality. Like, so kind of like, like if I had a massive nose, and somebody that's an easy button to pick on somebody for. Well, what am I going to get upset because I have a big ass nose or whatever? They just
Yeah.
you got to let it go. You got to let it go. You got to let it go and whatever. But we're all nervous balls of energy and insecurity on the inside at some point. And it's just a circle. It's just sometimes we take our time at the top of the wheel and we're driving, and sometimes that motherfucking wheel is rolling over you.
So here's I guess to be grateful, like they say, right? Like a source of progress. Oh my God, I got the low battery warning. Hold on. I have to plug in. Emergency. Plug in. Plug in.
Drag top mode enabled.
Oh Jesus. So like I actually had a breakthrough moment with my sister where it's now we realize the pattern. So when she comes by, before it was like, oh my God, spot check. That's what it felt like. Like I'm sure in the military, right? Like drill sort like what do they do with your cat? I mean, stereotypically, right? Like your space, where they check you, like inspection, I guess, right?
Right.
That's what I'm giving you the feeling when my sister comes over, like, oh, inspection, Now I've learned to roll, like how how to finally leverage it. Right. Whereas before it was freaking me out. And that's also because I think we've had kind of an understanding, given my mom's situation, navigating through it, like an understanding my role in it. Like I'm not just servant boy. I actually have an intellectual part. Like it's very interesting, Michael, as a caregiver, given our nerd background. Initially, when you wrestle with the hospital, you're very much subordinate, right? Like, our whole discussion with Chris and the trusted experts. And then once you go through it enough times and you realize, oh, it's just like the cops. Their duty is to the cops, is to the legal code, isn't that? Yes, you're a factor in it, but you're really not in the driver's seat. And so I've even given this story about a Lyft driver who was like, when I did Lyft and Uber, I was all paranoid about, oh, I need to have 5-star ratings and pick everyone up. And I was getting migraines and stressing myself out. And then one of these McAllen drivers was like, dude, I reject half the requests. He's like, I only go if I want to. And then he goes, and if it's out in the boondocks, screw that. He almost got jumped one time. So I'm like, Uber and Lyft ain't gonna rescue you. Good luck chasing that lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's like finally realizing how to kind of assert. And anyways, with my sister, the breakthrough moment was we finally started tackling my mom's, because of the dementia, like the kitchen gets cluttered. And I used to clean it up every once in a while, right? And then you just get sick and tired. Like I have my own mess, right? Like Raleigh had to guide me. He's like, take a trash bag and take junk, obvious stuff, but that's what you need when you're in this clutteraholic mode, right? And so together with my sister, just by us attacking one drawer that I swear I could not look at before, she goes, oh, okay. And like, oh, spatulas and this and that. I'm like, my God, finally we're making headway. And then we're finding lost artifacts, and so I'm like, dude, that, and it's all go back. It's like back to this show, right? Like, I don't want to be punking Mark Halperin. I don't want to be like, gotcha on this point, it's like the enlightening, and then vice versa. He's enlightening me, and we have this community. And where I said earlier about Chris playing the heel, like, or Dan Olivo, it's like, man, okay, I really need to think about what I'm communicating, how I'm communicating it. Like, is it actually, like, what are they hearing? I'm saying one thing, they're hearing another. And then, okay, how can I present? Because I know if we had all the whole AI, like Raleigh working the backgrounds, right? The news clip would pop up, the bar. We all know what an amazingly whatever thing would look like, you know?
Right, right, right. Well, in your mind's eye, right. I get it. Yeah.
In our mind's eye, you know. And I guess earlier, just to double back to what you were saying about Trump and the tariffs, I come from it just like okay, let's just for intellectual argument's sake, right? Do we have factories in America? Yes. So okay, they're not like there's not any, there's there, you know, and were there other advanced factory semiconductors in America? Yes. So it's like it's not this physical impossibility. And for people to just be like, oh, it can't be, it's like, you know, if you could believe in multiple genders and multiverses and, you know, simulation is life and like all these crazy this is what people will do in the so-called left world, intellectual Silicon Valley world, right? They'll have a few drinks at the cocktail parties, right? First, they'll talk about that Trump is Hitler and, oh my God, what he's doing to the immigrants, not trespassers, you know, and they'll get all butthurt over those things. And some, you know, cops did this or that, right? Okay. And that's their moral piety side, right? Like sober. Okay. Then one or two drinks in, it's like, well, you know, this and that, fucking, it's all bullshit anyways. And oh, what if it's a simulation? Oh, if it's a simulation, and this they go off. It's like, okay, so you can do all those things, but you can't just accept that maybe, or in your, then I go, well, then in your sim theory, maybe one of the simulations is are we the simulation? Whatever something in this theory rose up and Trump is a force of good. That's one of the simulations. Like, ponder it. You know, I'm not saying it has to be, but just at least because you're trying to talk them off a ledge.
Well, that's the people who are all humans are naturally intellectually curious. Like all the time unless you have a fucked up background or you were starved all the time, then you don't have much of anything, right? So I get that, edge cases or whatever, but for the most part, we're all born with curiosity and wonder in our brain. And, you know, some more so than others. Maybe some are a little bit more, you know, insular. But for the most part, you're curious and you don't have that barrier of preconceived notions or what, you know, you can set. That's what happened this whole election. It caused more people who were normally default, oh God, this guy Trump, oh God, really? You know, like that attitude that the Democrats were so hoping to naturally lean on because they had done it all to great success for years before that until they couldn't do it and something happened something happened. I'm not going to say it's God. I'm not going to say that it wasn't God either. I'm not going to say either one, but I won't know. I have no idea, but pretty fucking funny when um you know you have American politics is just so much what somebody else does in response to what you do. So it's very funny how that fucked up game of like how Trump kind of just grabbed hold of it and or could grab hold of it. He had they tried to push him out to where he had no oxygen and he didn't for a long time. But it's like what the fuck is going on? Oh, there's Trump in a fucking spacesuit. Somehow this motherfucker's still alive and breathing, you know, who can still fight, you know. Well, we saw the whole thing, but people have a hard time of stepping away from that viewpoint. You know, it's just kind of like, you know, they can't be. It's like if Trump were a statue or something, they would have to be like nose to the statue, like nose to the thing like this, like all up in, you know, just face against the thing. And meanwhile, behind them, the whole world is going on. You know, it's just massive. Talk about massive blind spot. It's remarkable. It really is remarkable. Yeah. Anyway, it's something to marvel. To see, wake up every day and see they choose to run off that cliff. They don't even stop. They don't even they wake up every day and they just run full speed right off that cliff. They have to. They have to, you know.
Yeah.
It is it's hilarious. But yeah. Yeah, as far as like it goes. Yeah, I'm glad. Well, this is just cool. It's just cool that, you know, like three random guys 6 months ago, you were doing your own, you know, never would have crossed paths, never would have fucking crossed. And then it's just cool to have, you know, that, or even the Chris's or the James, I really like James. Like
Yeah,
I
no,
like
exact. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, James.
all of them, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even Dan Olivio, if he would put his, dude, put your sword down, man.
Oh,
Nobody,
it's gonna
no,
be great when because now I finally can step back, right? Because I realize it's like you said, like, okay, there's a time to lean in and there's a time to step back, and now whatever, we're all learning, so that'll be great to have him back. But like Professor Kenny too has a certain and because he's a
oh yeah, him too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
right, he has that sort of, he's trying to tend to the sheep, right? You know,
Yeah.
uh, and if I still am waiting for the day when we manage to convince Mark to come on and hang out with
That
us.
would be something. That would be. I think you know what we should. I'll pose the question and then I'll wrap it up here. Um, the question for tomorrow should be not just Mark Halperin. Who do you think will come through that door first? Will it be Mark? Will it be Sean? Will it be Dan? Will it be, you know,
Wow.
I don't know, maybe one of the others, kind of like not necessarily direct guests or whatever, but like ones that occasionally will orbit. Every once in a while, like that Trisha McLaughlin. We see her once
That
in a
was
while.
a YouTube short right there. That
You know.
was perfect.
Oh, we're still broadcasting, aren't we? Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. But anyway, no, that's the question. That's the question I'll post tomorrow for the group. That'll be a good icebreaker, to corporate parlance
You have any you have
or
any
synergy.
you have any thoughts on which of the three?
I'll save my thought for tomorrow. I'll save my thought.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I definitely have in mind who I think would be. Oh, it's kind of a toss up the more I think about it, but who knows? Maybe I'll change my mind between now and then. But yeah, I
Good. I
I,
like
I think that's a good question anyway. Well, hopefully it's a good question. I don't know. Maybe,
and I'm gonna try to get in earlier. I've been kind of coming in late and whatever. So we'll
well, sometimes you just the plane ain't taking off. The plane will take off when the plane takes off. It's kind of days like that, Like man, I had the last couple days, like the Monday, I was tapped out. I mean, I was okay, really. I mean, but I went to bed. And then Tuesday, I woke up so sluggish. And then Tuesday just kind of wore on. And I got sleep, but like I still not great sleep. And then, tonight is probably going to be the first night I'll have actually decent sleep. And then I won't wake up like I'm like, a fucking zombie. And
we need a t-shirt, right? I will not podcast past 10 p.m.
well, it's all good, but yeah,
No, I know. I lost track. And that was like I looked down,
well,
looked up. I was like, what
yeah, I also I miss my show. I miss the I've just had a lot going on lately. I miss my normal weekly show with Tom. And sometimes we just need a
how to
break or
squeeze
whatever.
it
And then
in.
so
Yeah.
but next week we'll catch up, so it's all good. But and then we're doing Terrifier. So Terrifier is a whole other ball
Ooh.
of that. I won't go beyond that, but and then so the challenge, so we've been doing this series thing, like where we'll do like a month themed around something, and it won't necessarily be the month of August or March or whatever. It'll just be 4 weeks or whatever, a few weeks of the thing. So he challenged me to Terrifier. So, and but with the option that I can nope out at, after, like, at least watch the first one, but then there's Terrifier 2 and 3, and so he challenged me to see if I can, ride the ride. We'll see. We'll see, but
Oh, nice. Nice. So do you guys do clips of it or you just talk about?
we just talk about it. Like sometimes we'll play a clip, but not necessarily all the time. I've experimented with like playing the movie in the background, like on a TV, like just like letting it
Oh,
go. But that's like not even 1% of the time anyway. So
yeah,
like maybe we'll play a clip or something, but the problem with clips are you get copyrighted.
exactly. So it's not,
And the thing is, we own that. We, us talking about the clip while it plays in the background, that is my content. I don't give a shit if you own the movie rights to the thing doesn't mean that you own the video that I'm doing. I own the video that I'm doing. And we're talking about it's not only is it fair use, but I can make money off of it absolutely because this is my opinion. This
well,
is
and
my
you're promoting that content. It's like,
You-
hey,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know, Elon Musk, YouTube or whatever, get it together and like give Michael his cut and then let it like pay every like we're helping it out.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. No, but like but then your video when you release it, if it's a really egregious one, they'll restrict the viewing of your video. So then while you're fighting it on the back end, and you will absolutely win. I've won every
That's
single
what-
copyright
That's
strike against our channel, and we have hundreds of videos. Every single matter of fact, I got to go back and fight a couple that are on there, but like I'll fight them, and I mean fight them to because if you get hit, then what happens is then you can appeal it, but then when you appeal it, you have to put in your real name and your real address. Like you only have to do this like once
but
so that you understand if you are sending this information to that copyright holder, you can push back on the strike, and then it's up to them. Then the onus is on them to either take it to court, like there's a point like where they have to enforce it or take it into court, like whatever. But
but
you
it
get to
goes
that
back to what
point.
we said earlier. You're like, then you go, what the hell am I dealing with? Like, when did this become my life, right?
Well, yeah, well, it's just very interesting things that so like for years, like I've consumed YouTube, and every once in a while I'd hear a copyright thing or strike. So I've heard the lore, so to speak, and then to actually experience it yourself is another matter. But if it's egregious, like if you're obviously trying to, because if you play something popular or that's copyrighted, it's going to be more likely to be seen by people because there might be some kind of interest in there. But anyway, long story short, but not or long story, right? But
Always interesting. Always interesting. Well, that was good, Michael, man.
all
Okay.
right, man. Well, you have a good one. It was a good to hang out, an impromptu evening. Catch up with
Yeah.
you, catch up with my boys, with the bros.
Very nice. Always the best times, man.
Awesome. All right, take care, brother.
Peace.